Uh, late but live. There we go. All right, everything has been fixed. We're good. It's 9:01. Jeez. I was caught up in working on something and didn't look at the time at all and then went, "Oh shit." Um so we're good. We're here. Everything's fine. Don't worry about it. Hello, Draco Kraken. How are you? Um, Let me do this. That way I'm hopeful. There we go. Okay. Oh, I need a drink. A moment. All I have next to me are Coke Zeros. And I do have some tea stuff here, but we'll see if I actually make it. All right. Harken back to the old days where we all had something that we cracked on stream. I'm also waiting on food because I haven't eaten yet. And I need food. It would be nice, but we'll see if anything gets delivered to me because it usually takes forever after I order it. Anyway, Boo will be joining us a little later. He's working for a little while longer, and so I won't be here until probably like 10 something. We'll see. And hopefully, we haven't finished everything by then. I wouldn't imagine we have, or we would, but we shall see. Aiden is currently off, boiling, water, I think. And, welcome to Table Talk Discussion and Discourse. I, as always, am your host, Alejo, aka Greydon95, and, we're here today. We're here today to talk about, excuse me, we're here today to talk about D&D. Specifically, there are some classes that have come out for 2024's D&D. Everybody knows 5.5 at this point, or whatever you want to call it, the new D&D edition that dropped the player's handbook rather recently, in the grand scheme of things. I don't know when it came out specifically. I will look that up right now. Player's handbook release. It's for pre-order right now. Oh, that's crazy. What? That doesn't make any sense. Oh, that's for the D&D Beyond thing. Bleh. September 17th. Oh, it comes out in 3 days. Wow. Okay. Interesting. I thought it was already out, but there you go. Well, when it became like an early, bleh, something that could be accessed early, everybody in there, had to make videos on it and such. We looked at the D&D Beyond articles that were about the classes, and that was it. And continuing on that theme, now we're gonna watch a video about the D&D classes that people seem to have issue with, or at least 3 of them, because today we're going to be looking at apparently the new worst classes in the 2024 Player's Handbook, Paladin, Rogue, and Ranger. Sorry, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue. That's what the video is called. It's by Constructed Chaos, which clickbaited me before with the Bard thing, But for something that's going to be hopefully a little more analytical, hopefully I haven't been clickbaited again. But you never know, right? You never know. But we will wait until Aiden gets back over here before we start going into it, like, in depth. So we'll see how it goes. Ranger's still bad? Anyway. True. Well, this is the thing, man. Like, we were looking at those Ranger changes, and like we were pretty hopeful about them at the time. It seemed like we had a few things that were different and that needed to make the Ranger feel at least somewhat more useful. The Hunter's Mark thing was like a good change from what we read, of like it's a integral part to the kit. Let's make it so that it's always there and always useful. Like, always. So, that was a nice change to see. Obviously, it was mostly, what is it? It was mostly combat-related stuff, a lot less, roleplay-related stuff, but of course you can take combat-related stuff and make it into roleplay-specific things, and obviously you roleplay while you're in combat, so it's not like it was a total, departure. Did you know the base PHP has guns now? I did not. That's fine. I don't care. The base, DMG had, like, assault rifles and stuff in it. Guns were always there. Guns were always for 5e. So, if you really wanted to have, rules for guns, they were always there. But if it's literally just like, oh, you can have, like, a pistol, then it's like, oh, okay, so we're going to, like, more modern guns, huh? I don't know. It doesn't seem that weird to me, because, again, you can set your D&D game in any period if you really want to. But I assume it's not in the base, sections of the fantasy stuff, right? It's like an addendum or something, right? And if it's guns that act like flintlocks or something, that's even more appropriate. But if it's not, then it's like, okay, weird, but okay. You know, we had what? We have the gunslinger in Pathfinder. We have the artificer in I think Pathfinder also has one. I don't actually know. But D&D definitely had the artificer. Like, there's so much technology that is there. So, you know. It's a pistol and musket, so interesting. It's in the base weapons table. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. I mean, as long as it's not, like, modern weaponry, that's fine. I see nothing wrong with it off the get-go. Plus, if you don't want to use them, you don't use them, you know? Like, as a DM. So, it's just, at this point, I think that we should have some sort of firearms in play, especially with the fact that magic exists in this setting. Firearms seem to be something that needs to be there to be a counter to, like, just think of it as like from a realism perspective, a little bit of like, oh, not everybody can do magic, but everybody can hold a gun and shoot it. Like, that was the same with the bow, right? But with the gun, it's much quicker and better to shoot at your, you know, magic users, because it takes less time than an arrow flying through the air. You don't have to be as stealthy, technically, right? At least that's how my brain is now, you know, rationalizing it. Shoot the mages in the head with your musket, and everything will be okay. You get your one shot, you gotta reload, that's like another action. Then later you can shoot more. I don't know. It's just, it's something that makes at least somewhat sense to me. But I'm not too worried about it. At the end of the day, if you're playing D&D, do whatever the hell you want. It's not really something that we can, like, exclude stuff. Hoping that it's not just a reskinned bow. That is fair. That is a fair hope. Let's find out. Guns in D&D 2024. Gunner Feet wasn't reprinted, so you'll have to use Tasha's to work around the loading property restrictions. So it does have loading. So it does do something where you shoot, you have to load. That's good at least. Or you have to reload, sorry. It's not that strong. They're no different from existing bows and crossbows, at least for damage. Oh, they do a point or two more damage on average from the larger die size. But now you can just have them as your character's aesthetic, really. Yeah, okay. Let's find... This is a thread on Reddit that I'm reading from right now. It's like the first thing you find when you search. And I don't see anything else about it, really. So, at least in this Reddit thread. Sorry, relate teacher. We, the new computer, is cheap and slow. Understood. Don't worry about it. Present. Hello, both Rudy and Entropy. We were late. We started a minute late, so don't worry about it. Usually we start like 5 minutes early, but this time I got caught up in shit, so. I've been playing like Chibi Robo all day, basically. It's been a great time. Not all day, but like a lot of my day, and it's been fantastic because I've always wanted a physical copy of Chibi Robo, and I got one, finally. It was too much money to spend for that, but, you know. So time to wear a bandolier of pistols like Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Wargamer.com's article here says D&D's new 2024 core rules officially add guns, but they suck. Good. Gunpowder, core part of D&D. Okay, pistol is one-handed ranged weapon that has poor long range and does D10 piercing damage. The musket has a similar bad range, does a mighty D12 damage, and is two-handed. They have loading property, meaning there's no way to attack with them more than once per turn, no matter how many extra attacks you have. That's fine. That's good. You don't want it to be like a bow. It's not to be something that's incredible. Like, this article is now going into how the guns are, like, you need to have something like a feat to make it so that you can just do weird shit. So that you can do multi-attacks with one weapon. That's, I understand the want, but it's not the point. Hell, you can make, now that the guns are there as a base, you can make specific, like, magical weapons and such if you really want better guns in your D&D game. That's, it's a baseline for creativity. It's not just, this base thing sucks, so don't use it. At least that's how I'm thinking of it right now. So, I don't know. We are the new computer. Typos are great. We the new yeah. I'm okay with that. Yeah. No, this is fine. Like, this, honestly, they should have had guns before now, like, as a canonical thing. Magic infused musket balls? Yeah, exactly. Like, this is, it's basically a bow and arrow, but now you enchant the ball instead of the arrow head, you know, or the shaft. It's just another way to do it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Anyway. So I guess we'll see if people get more up in arms about it, but I think that's fine as, like, a change. I see literally nothing wrong with these weapons if that is all that there is, of, like, oh, they literally have the loading property, which means, hey, you can't just fire off 16 shots. at once. That's fine. What you do is, as you said, have the bandolier of pistols, and for your first attack, you can, if you have like multi-attack, or sorry, extra attacks, you have, 3 shots with 3 different pistols, and then on your next turn you do 3 more shots with 3 different pistols, or you can do a shot, 2 stabs. Like, you can become a very interesting actual swashbuckler. um and by swashbuckler, of course, I mean like a pirate like swashbuckler, who's shooting a gun, going and stabbing some other guy, and then throwing the gun down and shooting another guy with the gun, a different gun. Like, I can see a lot of interesting plays there, a lot of cinematic looking fight scenes that you can create if you really want to. Like, that's cool, man. Um, there were rules for guns all the way back in 3.5. I don't even think they were variant rules. They were just hidden back in the DMG. Well, that's the thing. In 5e, there's gun rules in the DMG as well, but nobody read it. So, uh, they've always been there. They've always been present. But this is now in the PHB. So, that's a thing. D12 on a ranged weapon is fun, and add ranger spells like Hunter's Mark or Hail of Thorns to it. Yeah. Totally. Yeah. I mean, is the heavy crossbow... The heavy crossbow was a D12 as well, right? I think it had the same kind of thing. I gotta find it. Heavy crossbow 5e. It probably just has less range than a heavy crossbow would. No, a heavy crossbow had 1d10, actually. It was 1d10, so there you go. It is actually an upgrade. So, I don't understand why that one article was like, hey man, guns suck, though. Because that's not true. They're fine. Just because they aren't, like, regular-ass fucking everyday guns doesn't mean that they're not good enough. You know? Anyway. I wanted to also say something right now for those of you who might be in the future just listening to this beginning bit and then might click off later after the first video or something. I want to just put out a little housekeeping stuff. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing another editing stream of stuff for our table flippers. And then also that day, Boo and I are going to play more Wildlands and get through a bunch more of that, hopefully. And I wanted to say as well that the Vampire the Masquerade campaign that we are doing, that I have been doing the edits for, that the people for Patreon and Ko-fi can see, so our table flippers can see early and such. I'm gonna put the first video out on October 1st, which is fitting. I didn't even think about it really until after I had decided it, because I was like, oh, 1st of next month. And then I realized it was September the other day and went, oh yeah, 1st of October, you know? It works out. But yeah, so it's going to be the video is going to be on October 1st, and then the audio only version is going to be out on a different podcast thing, rather than just the Table Talk discussion and discourse audio only version podcast that's out there on Spotify and all that. I'm going to be putting out a new one called the Table Talk Crew. And all the regular, like, all the videos and stuff are still going to be on this channel, but the audio is going to be split off. So, yeah, that's going to be a thing. So I'm going to put out a video for that when it gets closer to time. I gotta make one. I've got to make that. I've got to make an introduction for the new audio-only podcast channel for all the actual plays and stuff that we're going to be putting on there. Like, it's going to be a little bit of a task, so it's going to take a little bit of time. But please stay tuned and be excited for Vampire and monthly videos and audio only things for those for that campaign. And if you want, this is an incentive finally to join the Patreon or the Ko-fi to see them early, see everything early, and get access to the editing streams and such. All of that stuff is a thing for as little as $1. I'm doing the thing. Wow, there's actual like reason more than just if you want to help us out. If you want to do that, so do so if you wish. Anyway,
if I may borrow the words of Pim Pimpson,
okay,
from critically acclaimed show Smiling Friends.
okay,
Hello, everyone.
there you go.
I have no idea if Pimpson is Pim's actual last name. I just can't imagine it being anything other than that.
There you go. Hello, sir.
Hello. How are you today?
I am doing pretty okay. I have been rewatching Scrubs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's my third time through the series, I think, and I'm having a good time. So I've been doing that, and then I started playing Chibi Robo again.
Ooh, I love Chibi Robo.
Chibi Robo is one of my favorite games of all time, and I finally bought a physical copy that I can play on my actual GameCube. It was too expensive, and I don't want to go too far into it, but man, I'm not smart with my money.
Yeah.
But now I own a physical copy with the box and the actual like instruction booklet and the disc and everything, and I feel good because I've needed it.
I loved that entire game, with the exception of that one mission where you cook the burgers.
Oh, yeah, the burger cooking one. I do remember that. Yeah, it from what I remember, the burger cooking one wasn't that hard. But I don't know. It's been a hot minute. So
it wasn't that hard. I just thought it was stupid.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Because it's a complete departure from the rest of the gameplay.
Yeah. Well, you know, they were like, "Oh, we gave you a spoon. You gotta do more with the spoon than just dig holes." Wasn't it the spoon that you flipped that with? Pretty sure.
I think so.
It's the only thing that I can think of that could flip anything, so yeah. Anyway, great game, though. I remember the first time I played it, I never knew about the clock, and getting, instead of it being 5 minutes, technically, having it be the 15 that you can buy, and make the days longer.
Oh, yeah, no, dude, that's a lifesaver.
Yeah, didn't know about that until I was older. And went, that's useful. So, whole thing.
I never owned a copy of Chibi Robo, but I was loaned a copy by one of my friends, and he was just like, "Hey, dude, buy the clock." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "Don't worry about it. Buy the clock."
Yeah, I was definitely playing them on emulators. I played the first one and then the second one as well, Park Patrol, on emulators. Park Patrol being the DS one where you literally clean up a park. It's fantastic. Very fun. Like it a lot. Anyway. That's how have you been?
I was sick recently.
Still
kind of recovering from that.
Okay.
But I've been like slowly room by room cleaning my apartment. And I made some dinner to go with the podcast, and I just realized I forgot my Parmesan cheese. Well, I'll be back shortly.
Okay. Here I am. OneDrive wanted to update. That might have been the problem. Oh, gotcha. Early guns kind of should suck compared to modern guns. Exactly. Guns didn't just immediately make every other weapon obsolete, so there's still a place for bows and swords and stuff. Oh, yeah, of course. I hope they also include sharp, pointy things you stick on the end of the explodey sticks, which YouTube apparently doesn't want me to call by name. They might. I don't know.
I
Hello,
returned.
Timothy, and hello, welcome back. Um, yeah, oh, don't feel bad about poor financial choices, Alejo. I just pre-ordered a box of collector's boosters for Duskmorn, the Magic the Gathering set based on 80s to present horror films like Friday the 13th or Annabelle. That's sick.
Speaking of
That's
which,
cool.
thank you for reminding me, Draco Kraken. Alejo.
Yeah.
In honor of yesterday being Friday the 13th, we should watch the remake tomorrow.
I forgot that it was, and yeah, okay. Boo and I are gonna be doing stuff too
But
tomorrow, and I am also editing right when I wake up for a while. So um we will see if we can fit that in. Let's see if we can
okay,
do it.
if you have a time frame, just let me know. I
Yeah.
just need to head to Costco before 6
Okay.
because it'll close after
Okay.
6.
Which
Um,
is
but
yes.
that
Okay.
is but that is my only time limitation.
Gotcha. Okay. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. All right. Anyway, I saw a game movie video for a game called Gory Cuddly Carnage. It was awesome. Okay, that sounds interesting. Um, but yes, we've been talking about while you were making your stuff. We were talking about how they put guns into the PHB for 2024.
Oh,
Which
okay.
they've basically made them like flintlock pistols and muskets.
Hmm, hmm.
Which good for them. Glad it's finally there, like as an official thing. That's kind of basically all it was.
Mm.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
today, oh, sorry, go on.
Um, um, Flintlocks were so widely accepted for artificers, at the
Mm-hmm.
very least, um, that it was already kind of de facto in the game.
Exactly.
So, like, cool. Glad to see, like, the naysayers can get told to shut up by WoTC.
Yeah. Saw you hit 700 subs. Woo! Yes, we are finally at 700. It is true. Welcome, all the new ones, and thank you for sticking
Ooh.
around, all the old ones. um, Now that we've said it, though, we'll go down at least 2. It'll happen.
Mm, mm,
Because that's always the way of things.
mm. That's why, like every week we're like, oh, we hit 700 subscribers,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and just have that be the theme of like every episode is like, oh, a milestone reached, everyone.
Exactly.
Every
Um,
time we lose 2 people and then gain 2 people.
exactly. Um, Anyway, so today we're talking about the classes, 3 of them in particular, apparently, because these are apparently the new worst classes in the 2024 PHB: Paladin, Ranger, Rogue.
Uh, Hard disagree on Paladin, but okay.
I have no idea why that could be the case. I have no idea if this is just a clickbait title again, because this is the person that I watched a video of that was a clickbait title, before, of bards.
Mm.
So if it's just, but at the same time, if he goes into depth at all about the classes, it'll be more than what I know now because of the articles that we read, and that's it. But I know the original stuff a little bit for 5, so we'll see. 700-minute stream, no. um, but anyway, was this? Wait, was this HR presentation guy? No, this is not. Oops. I didn't have right things. There we go. It's this guy, the guy who was talking about how bards were overpowered or something. We'll see.
Constructed chaos.
Yes. Does this person not like the Luchidins? I have no idea. We will see. Anyway, yes, this is Constructed Chaos. Apparently, these are the worst classes with a question mark, so probably not. And here we go.
Yeah, Ranger's pretty not the best, but it's not bad.
This is the thing.
Rogue Rogue always gets everything. I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like, from what we saw, at least, it seemed like everything kind of got a buff and it was fine. Um, Ranger, I mean, I didn't think that Ranger was the worst thing ever anymore, but I mean, I guess compared to everything else, it might be, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's not really, that's not really ever been much of a concern, at least in my book.
We've got a preview of the new D&D classes, but I thought everyone was getting a buff. Why do these ones taste funny?
Oh. Jesus Christ.
Very loud.
Very loud.
WoTC's unveiling of the new D&D classes is complete, and I have to say that I'm pretty happy with a lot of what they've shown us, but there's some stuff that felt off. Specifically the Paladin, Ranger, and Rogue. Let's just get right into it. The Paladin, like many of the updated classes, had quite a few features remain the same, but they did also have their lay on hands ability changed a bit. So it doesn't affect diseases anymore, but it can be used on constructs and undead, and only requires a bonus action to activate now. They've also been given their spellcasting at first level, granting them access to spells earlier and making it better for multi-class. Previously, your multi-class spellcasting level would gain 1/2 level rounded down from each level in Paladin. Now that's rounded up instead. Of course, the Paladin will also get access to the new Weapon Mastery feature along with the other martial classes, except for the Monk. This is a pretty big deal, and I made an entire video on it here in case you're interested in more of a deep dive into that new system and some secret tech that WoTC hasn't revealed yet.
Okay. I assume that these are fine things that he's talking about at the moment. Like, he's just going through the bits that are changed, and that's it. He hasn't really gotten to the opinion part yet. No. But also, interesting that monks don't get the thing. They don't get weapon mastery. That seems a little strange because monks also use weapons. Like, you can do, yeah, you have your fists and stuff, but you can also be the weapon monk. Or at least you could before. So why wouldn't they also get that, you know?
Yeah, like, I would be alright with them having, like, weapon mastery of, like, you know, bow staff or nunchucks or stuff like that.
Exactly. Stuff that is thematic to them.
Yeah. I think maybe he's talking about them not getting, like, you know, great weapon master or whatever.
Maybe.
My monk can't use a bow. Oh no.
Oh no.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, just a very weird thing, but it was more of a side comment, so I see this guy likes to edit, true. By the worst, he's gonna mean mechanically weakest. I always forget how these people think now. Maybe, we'll see. If they debuff paladins, that would be bad news for Cyrus, true. But also, they haven't, that's the thing. They've made them better, for sure, so...
This system adds certain properties to weapons that often trigger automatically when they hit, making martial combat a lot more tactical than just swinging your weapon around over and over. Then the dream ends as early as level 2 when we find out that the Paladin Smite feature has been nerfed into the ground. For starters, Divine Smite is now a spell. Ick. Although you do get a free casting of it once per long rest, and they can be used with unarmed strikes now.
It's a permanently prepared spell, so it's basically a feature. I mean, technically.
Smite was a spell before, though.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole joke that paladins all share. It's, spell slots? No. Smite slots.
Exactly, yeah. It's always been, the resource has always been a spell slot, so it's always been a spell. It just wasn't called that. So, it hasn't changed at all. Except for the fact that now you can do it as unarmed, and it's always there.
Or like with anything. Like Paladins fucking loved the Tavern Brawler feat in regular ass 5e. Because when you can like pick up a wooden mug and smash it over the bandit's head for the big dick damage,
yes,
it felt really good. And now you can just do that base. There is no feat investment.
Yeah. The other thing is the because it's on the spell list. The only reason why they did the wording as making it a permanently prepared spell is so that you will always have it instead of it being the feature list thing. Like, it's just there as the spell because it is the spell and it will never be able to be taken away from you when you're learning your other spells or you're switching them out or whatever. It is always there. It's just for the technicality of it being a spell, really. It's not, it's to put it in the place where it makes sense that it's there and to have it work mechanically with everything else that they've done. Like, it's not that they have made the feature now, oh no, that's in my quote unquote spell book. Like, no, it's so that it's always there for you. It's not that it can go away or anything. Like, there's no mechanical difference here, really.
Yeah, the fact that smiting is a bonus action now instead of a free action, like, does feel a little tiny bit rough. But that's like the biggest slap on the wrist to being able to have your spell cast, like, next to having your spell casting at level 1.
Yeah.
And having your lay on hands fucking majorly buffed.
Yeah.
This is baby shit.
Yeah, exactly. It is so fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with it.
I will take that trade, like, any day.
Yeah.
I kinda want to multi-class a monk with this for funsies. Divine Smites also require a bonus action immediately after hitting a creature with an attack, so they aren't just triggering for free when we land a hit anymore.
Right.
Smites were definitely overpowered in 5e, but I don't think they deserved this much of a massive nerf. Now they can be counterspelled by enemies, and we're going to be burning a bonus action on this. Of course, this also means that we can only smite once per turn.
Okay, so the fact that they can be counterspelled is good.
Also, yeah, like, you can have the big bad lich just say no. You're not cheesing me.
Exactly.
Also, if if my enemies are spending counter spells to fucking say no to a fucking smite of all things, that's a huge W for the team.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. There are much worse things to go against usually. I mean, any sort of utility spell, really. Like, you stop slow or haste.
Oh
yes.
man, I spent my reaction counterspelling this 3rd level smite instead of the 5th level hold person that's coming my way next.
Yeah. Which, again, it's like a whole tactical thing. So, like, if that's a thing that can happen, great, because now we have a lot more of that kind of play happening of, like, baiting out the counter spell with something that's going to do a lot of damage. Like, that's always been something that we could do, but this is just now another thing that we can use to do that. Nothing's wrong here. I'm sorry. And even so, I would be fine with people using counterspell against fucking 5th edition Smite. It's using spell slots. It's a spell.
Instead of just dumping smites into every attack we land. You will also get to pick up a fighting style at this stage, but that definitely doesn't make up for the massive loss in power from the old version of smites. Even though paladins and every other class now have access to the entire list of fighting styles.
Alejo,
yeah,
I've got a question.
I would love to answer your question.
If I can just rewind.
You will also get to pick up a fighting style at this stage.
Okay, so level 2, right? We're having our fighting style, right?
Yeah.
And you're picking your fighting style. What fighting style would you like? Just for sake of argument.
I would love that Blessed Warrior for those 2 cleric cantrips. That's actually cool.
Yeah, cool. Good for you. However, just so you know, your smite will be incredibly nerfed.
Okay.
And enemies can counterspell it now.
Yeah.
So like the wolves you're fighting and the shit bandits can counterspell now, I guess. What the fuck are you fighting at level 2 that has counterspell?
That's a good
prepared?
point. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, you don't have to worry about that until 3rd level spells are in play, which is 5th level.
You get your fighting style at level 2, but that doesn't make up for
the Paladin Smite being
the
shit.
counterplay for the smite that won't be happening.
Exactly. Not until 5th level at the very least. Or maybe a little earlier than that if you want something that's a little more powerful. Like, it's... I don't know, man. This sounds like one man's tin is another man's gold situation. I have no idea why this... Like, no, I do get it because people want to have their free fucking smite. And it's like, okay, but you do realize, and you said it yourself, that's bullshit, man. No, it's okay. We can balance it out now. That's okay.
Yeah. You've said the magic words. No, smite was a little overtuned in 5e.
Yeah, exactly.
That was all we needed.
That's literally, you've already said the problem that it had. Okay. Hello, RDX.
Well, what would you have preferred? Smite requires your reaction?
Right?
Because I would certainly not like to have to spend my attack of opportunity slot on fucking smite.
Yeah. He sees a nerf when others see a buff. Me, I'm people. Well, I'm sorry then. Aiden, don't discount the rogue bandit with a wand of counterspell. True.
That's true.
But even so, you're wasting their wand of counterspell. I don't know.
Also true.
That definitely doesn't make up for the massive loss in power from the old version.
It's not that massive. Like, it is still there. Yes. Oh no, it takes your bonus action instead. Now I have to think about it instead of, I don't know, fucking saying, like, after it, the rules literally were like, oh yeah, after you hit, after you're doing damage, then you can say, hey man, or not after you're doing damage, but after you confirm that you hit, you can then say, hey man, I'm gonna smite.
Actually, no, I will retract what I've said. I can see now how the smite requiring your bonus action is actually a pretty big nerf.
Yeah.
It does not allow you to smite multiple times per round. So, like,
true,
in my
actually,
last campaign,
yes. Oh, yeah, true.
In my last campaign, I could cast haste on myself as a free action because I had a little coffee pseudo-dragon familiar. And I would walk up to the boss and do a 4th level smite, then a 4th level smite, and then a 3rd level smite.
Right, which is bullshit as fuck.
Yeah.
So, you know what?
Really is.
Yeah, it's a big nerf. And you know what? I'm okay with it. In fact, you're giving me more of a reason to be okay with it. I love Smite, but I'm not gonna pretend it wasn't broken as fuck. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Like, I'm fine with the fact that they have done this, because at the end of the day, I do want it to not be that. I touch him with my stick, and then I cast Smite, and then I touch him with my finger, and then I cast Smite. Like, it's insane.
You know, I, though, as DM, I would be fine with if you will burn your bonus action for the round.
Yeah.
I will allow you to smite on any melee attacks you make this round.
Sure, yeah. But you're still utilizing the spell slots and everything, so it would balance out, you know?
Yeah, I'm just saying you're not limited to only one. If you burn your bonus action, you can get multiple.
Yeah. Wouldn't technically balance out. It would be a lot of damage for one bonus action, technically, but... I was on Team Bitch about the nerfs, but now I've mellowed out on it a bit, but I miss the old Smite. Well, that's the thing, man. You can just play the old Smite.
Yeah.
Like, nothing stops you at this point. Take everything else, but put the old Smite back in, you're fine. Losing smiting multiple times around, but gain power bomb smites. Deal. True.
Ooh.
True.
Of smites. Even though paladins and every other class now have access to the entire list of fighting styles, including an improved version of the protector option that kinda sucked before. At level 3, however, we do get a big buff with 2 channel divinity uses per short rest instead of just 1, with that increasing to 3 uses at level 11. Our formerly separate divine sense is now wrapped up into channel divinity, but it lasts 10 minutes instead of just a moment like the old version did, making it a little more than just a flavor ability now. As per usual, you'll also...
I thought it was still a ping.
Oh, no, yeah. It's very, very good now.
Yeah, okay.
Also get your Oath subclass at this point, choosing between Oath of Devotion, Glory, Ancients, and Vengeance. From what we've seen, these subclasses are mostly the same, with some slight quality of life improvements and even a couple of downgrades. Devotion Paladins are now able to imbue their weapon with sacred energy as part of an attack action with that weapon, instead of it taking a full action like before. So more people are likely to add their charisma modifier to their attack rolls now. And later, apparently they can give half cover to allies within a certain range when you smite, and create a radiant aura of burning light around you as a bonus action instead of an action for a full minute. The Oath of Glory will still allow you to...
The whole thing about making this smite be a bonus action now as well is just to keep you thinking tactically. Right? It's not letting you do the easy button anymore, because now it really does feel like what they've done with this is go back to tactical combat and like having that ingrained into the core rules itself now. Like, it's always been there to a degree, but now it's actually coming to the forefront again because of all of the changes that they've given for, like, the weapon mastery thing. All the weapons can do additional stuff. You know, positioning actually does matter, like, a lot more because of your weapon in general now. All the spells that now, you know, especially with the smite, now taking different actions. Okay, do I utilize my new cool thing for my bonus action now, or do I wait to do it and use my paladin smite instead? Like, it's good to see that it's making you have to think in your combats now, which is something that, like, it's always... Sorry. It's always been there to a degree, but now, again, it will come to the forefront because the system itself is now saying, hey, you can do this.
I think the fact that you have to think at all playing this class is the nerf.
True. Definitely wasn't that way before. You could just run in and go, meh, smite.
yeah. You know what? It was pretty great.
It was a funny meme.
But you know, like, I don't know, like, if you give me the option between 5e or 5.5e Paladin, I'm picking 5.5e every time.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's just, I don't know, it just feels a lot better. It feels like I can do a lot more with how I like to play these kinds of things, you know?
Yeah, I don't feel so hamstrung.
Yes. This computer isn't good enough to run Smite. I know I won't make it into Smite, but I think I'll make a good Scylla skin. Do it. You could probably get like a one of those third-party things and actually make the skin into the game, because that used to be a thing for like League and stuff, where you get those third-party softwares and you could just like import skins basically that only you could see, but they were neat.
To become a peerless athlete and give yourself advantage on athletics and acrobatics checks as a bonus action, but now this lasts for 1 hour instead of 10 minutes. You'll also be able to grant 10 feet of extra movement speed to your allies within 10 feet of you, instead of just those within 5 feet. And you'll get access to the new Yolan's Regal Presence spell that can force others to bow to you and take psychic damage. The Oath of the Ancients gets an improved channel divinity that allows you to ensnare enemies en route, since the old version was terrible, but their aura of warding now only grants your allies within 10 feet resistance to psychic, radiant, and necrotic damage instead of all spell damage in general, like before. And the Vengeance Paladin can activate their...
So, Oath of Ancients.
Yeah.
Giving a bonus to resist corrupting damage.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sounds pretty thematic.
I was gonna say, like, yes, I understand that it's a nerf, but at the same time, I don't know.
But at the same time, let's be real.
Yeah, let's have a little bit of this, I don't know, storytelling and world building that we have, like, inherent to these classes of, like, oh yeah, you took something to protect the natural kind of things, protect the minds of these people, like, have it so that it does that. And you can work around the other things. Like, if you really want to have things that do, you know, protection for other things, you get magic items or something for those other things, if you really want to, or other classes that could maybe do that. But
yeah,
I don't know. It's nice. It's nice to have reasons line up for these powers, you know?
Yeah, maybe you worship a god of the Forge, and you grant bonuses to resist that corrupting... Oh wait, no, Oath of Ancients probably would not be in the Forge.
I think that's only for the forest, if I remember right. Or am I thinking of the other one?
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose... Yeah, never mind.
I couldn't tell you. You could flavor it, however, to make it 3 different things, you know? Like, if you really want to, just do some homebrew.
I'm just thinking of how my DM flavored Oathbreaker Paladin because it has a bunch of, like, deathly and skeletal abilities.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, can I be an Oathbreaker Paladin but have, like, my oath is intact?
Yeah.
I'm just serving a god of death.
Yeah, exactly.
You could find some fucking bullshit for Oath of the Forge to resist fire damage, or maybe you're a paladin of Mistra.
Ooh, yeah, for magic. Mm-hmm. Does Bahamut give anything unique to paladins? I mean, you can make him do so if you're, you know, running something, but not mechanically, not necessarily, no.
Yeah.
There's something funny talking...
I don't know, what's Bahamut like in your world?
True, yeah, exactly. There's something funny talking about these classes like we're going over League patch notes. I'm just happy if the class got something new and fulfills a role. True. That's the thing. It's... I don't know. I get, again, why it's happening, because everybody's looking at what they've known for... Oh, God. 10 years, basically. What they've used for, like, 10 years at this point, and they're like, oh, they're changing my precious thing. But, I don't know. Most people, at least that are reasonable, are going, oh, this is different and new. Interesting. Let's see if it's any good or not, you know? Like, if it'll work for the system that it's built for. Because, yes, this is building off of 5e, but the actual core rules are now different, you know? So...
Most people have the own neat response instead of the toddler clinging to their toy because they think that you're coming to take it away.
Exactly. The idea of Ouija's having paladins is interesting to me. Yeah.
Huh?
I love how do some homebrew can answer almost any question. Yes. She's a death goddess and her followers can even be lawful good. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Beloved Vow of Enmity as part of an attack action instead of a bonus action, so that we have advantage on attack rolls against a creature for a minute. This might seem like a buff, but remember, we're already using our bonus action for smites now. So
just all the time, every time is what we're saying. Yeah, so instead of just doing that every single time now, we have to think about it. Yeah, I know, it's a big deal. It sucks. Damn. I hate thought.
Thinking is a big ask for some players.
This is neutral at best, in my opinion. Though, since we don't have all of the information in front of us, I'll have to wait until later to cover these in more depth in my full class guide.
It's going to be the same.
Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss those. And, again, I don't think they're going to make up for the fall from grace that we experienced earlier. At level 4, Paladins and every other class will get access to their usual ability score improvements or a feat, and again at 8th, 12th, and 16th levels, but there are a couple of minor differences here. First, ability score improvements are themselves feats now, though this makes no real mechanical difference, and every class...
Yes! Wow, good! It's all... the only mechanical difference for Smite was the bonus action thing, really. Everything else was pretty much the same except for the unarmed thing, so it's... The only thing you needed to talk about was the bonus action thing, and how that does affect the actual, like, output of damage and everything, really. But you went over this whole thing of how it's made into spells, when it's always been a spell, technically. Come on.
Like, I don't know. It kind of just seems like Paladins are more thematic now, and you can't use them to cheese shit.
Yeah, exactly.
I see this as an absolute win.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll get access to something even better at 19th level instead of an extra ASI or other feat. But we'll get to that in a bit.
Cool.
For now, level 5 grants us our usual extra attack feature alongside a new Faithful Steed ability that sees us always have the Find Steed spell prepared and ready to be cast once per long rest for free. The spell itself is
really good.
It's much better now, and also I'm fine with it not being a permanent spell, but I'm also fine with it being a permanent spell, you know? Like, it's not like the biggest deal in the world. But nobody's gonna take it otherwise, you know, because it's a spell slot, or sorry, a page in my spell book, quote unquote, you know, like or sorry, by nobody I mean nobody who is all about min-maxing, right? Like, it's not gonna be taken by people that don't want to min-max, or that do want to min-max, excuse me.
Yeah, but like for the rest of us, hey,
yes.
my Death Paladin can now be riding a fucking Periite.
Yes, and also I can give all of you mounts now. Very good.
Paladin exclusive and has also been given the ability to be upcast for additional benefits with its own stat block now, although our free casting will always be at the spell's base level. That said, the Steed stat block does have tons of goodies like a 60-foot flying speed if you upcast it at 4th level, and bonus actions like a 60-foot teleport, a 60-foot frighten effect, or a decent healing effect depending on the type of steed you summon. I do have to admit that this is pretty...
Brother, that's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty good.
Honestly, I'm glad that they've made it so upcasting it is, like, beneficial. Because then it's another thing of, do I upcast... Because you get your free spell Steed if you want to. But if you upcast it, then it's like, oh, shit. Okay, wait a minute. Do I want to spend a spell slot to have, like, this combatant, basically? This extra combatant, or whatever.
Well, do you want to summon a meat shield in order to temporarily swing the action economy back in your favor?
Yep.
You can do that with a 3rd level spell now?
I think so.
I wasn't really listening to the particulars.
It's a free 3rd level. Yeah, I think. Or free at 3rd level that you can do this.
Yeah, free at 3rd level.
Yes.
Hey, guess what? You can still smite.
Yup.
Oh god, actually, no, you won't be able to.
What do you mean?
Because if you spend your action summoning your steed, then you have no action through which to channel your bonus action.
Yes, true. In my world, Bahamut can turn other dragons into platinum if they earn his favor, but I still need to work on what he gives his non-dragon followers. Okay, gotcha. That steed is cracked. Yes.
This is pretty sweet if the playtest version is what we see in the printed class. Then we'll still get our aura of protection at level 6. That much is mostly unchanged.
By the way, I didn't realize that this doesn't come out until like 3 days later from now. The 2024 Player's Handbook will be out on the 17th, apparently.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I was already Oh god.
I thought it was out already,
You know,
but I guess not. It's just the early stuff that we've been seeing everybody make their videos on.
I was already planning to go to Barnes and Noble next week so I can pick up the first Heretic.
Okay, yeah.
But I see now I will also be getting a 5.5e PHP.
There you go.
And I'm glad for it. Level 9 will grant us a new Abjure Foes ability that uses Channel Divinity to cause Charisma modifier number of creatures to become frightened of you against a Wisdom saving throw. And creatures frightened in this way are limited to taking an action, bonus action, or movement on their turn. It kind of feels like the Conquest Paladin.
So it's a slow, like 3 or 4 creatures. What is this, per round or per...
unchanged, and
per
I'm
Channel
glad for
Divinity.
it. Level 9 will grant us a new Abjure.
Slow is kind of ridiculously good. Dare I say cracked.
It is incredibly good.
Like, yeah, sure, they do have to pass a save versus you, which, like, they can legendary resistance, I suppose.
Who knows if that's still... I mean, I assume that's still going to be a thing, but I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
It's still something that's probably accounted for all this, just because you can do stuff like this.
Yeah.
And honestly, at this point, I understand. Like, I mean, I always understood why, but for some of this stuff, it's like, yeah, I mean...
God, this is way better than the horrifying visage.
Yes.
That Oathbreaker paladins used to get.
Yeah. True. That could also work in Bahamut's advantage, having his top-level dragon followers impersonate him in dangerous spots since they look like him to keep him safe. Yeah, there you go.
Foe's ability that uses Channel Divinity to cause Charisma modifier number of creatures to become frightened of you against a Wisdom saving throw. And creatures frightened in this way are limited to taking an action, bonus action, or movement on their turn. It kind of feels like the Conquest Paladin did make an appearance after all, and I do really like this debuff ability being baked into the base Paladin class.
Well, the thing is, with all of these, you gotta remember that all of these classes and stuff, like a lot of these things are coming back, / are still there, because, again, this is supposed to be able to utilize a lot of 5e's stuff still. I think it's mostly the adventures and stuff, probably, but all of this other stuff is probably just going to be re-released in more books. So / you can just utilize whatever's already there. So don't you worry about all of these other subclasses and stuff that aren't there right now. They're still technically there. You just gotta kind of go back and then make sure they're up to par. Because really, they are, technically. I mean, everything that's new is going to be in the core, so all of the additional stuff is just going to be added on to what the core is. And unless it conflicts, like, majorly, it should be okay. I don't know.
Like, I don't know. Perhaps the next sentence I say will feel a bit weird, given the changes to Paladin's Smite.
Mm-hmm.
But 5.5e's Paladin feels so much more aggressive in the fact that, like, they load you up with little tools in your toolbox, and they say, go kill.
Yeah.
Here is an ability to, like, while you're wading into battle, fear creatures and make them only able to do, like, the fuck all, basically.
Yeah.
Because they're slowed. Here's this, here's that. Here's your ability to smite with a fucking unarmed strike.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'd agree with you. Sidebar for Alejo, I started watching your old Sly 2 live streams. It's been really fun. Well, I'm glad to hear it.
We'll get improved Divine Smites at 11th level to remind us of what we lost, and level 14 will give us Restoring Touch, which is more or less the same as the old Cleansing Touch feature. It now only removes certain conditions instead of absolving willing creatures of spell effects in general. But I'd say this is more of a lateral move since it can now work on conditions from monster abilities as well. Level 18 still increases the range of our auras to 30 feet, and then...
I guess, I mean, I would say it's technically, like, if we want to be absolutely technical, it's a nerf, but I like it better. I like the lay on hands and all of this stuff better because they don't just auto cure everything and make it so
Yeah.
that so many things are useless, you know? Um it's good. I want to have them be effective but not be overpowered. That's the thing.
At level 19, every class will have a chance to take an epic boon instead of a regular feat. These epic boons are extremely powerful too, so even though you can still take an ASI or another feat, you probably won't want to. Look, I get everyone being so upset about smites being spells, and taking your bonus action from you as well, but
yeah, exactly. Come on.
I kind of feel like the changes to Paladin overall are a slight net positive, being that it was one of the most ridiculous classes in 2014 and used in all sorts of broken builds.
Oh, is the title now for people that were thinking this before? Like, they were like, oh, the Paladin's the worst because they nerfed it super hard, and now he's making arguments that they aren't?
It still could be, like, in comparison to other classes thing.
It could be, yeah.
Like, other classes got majorly buffed.
Yeah.
Paladin was cracked to begin with, but only got slightly buffed, and now it's in the back. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know, but either way.
Or, yeah, you know, in the back, it's the weakest of the classes, whatever.
Maybe, I guess, but who cares?
I don't know. Also, that art is sick as hell.
Yeah, that art is cool.
Yeah.
I think the changes we got were pretty warranted. The updates to the Paladin feel like it shifts its identity a bit as well. It feels like a protector and a debuff specialist built on top of a holy warrior chassis, so I'm not upset at all. Which is more than I can say about the Ranger. The community has taken even more of a grievance with the new Ranger, if we can
I guess this is in comparison to the community. Okay. Alright.
Yeah.
Clickbait once, shame on you. Clickbait twice, shame on me. Yes, technically this is the second time, but at least we have things to talk about with this one, instead of the Bard one where it was just fucking nothing. Of like, oh, this is just how a Bard works. And then saying, it's overpowered because this is how a Bard works. Like, that was fucking nothing. Is that lady in the picture an exorcist or Shang Tsung? Could be both, who knows?
Call it new. WoTC certainly kept referring to it as such, but I'm not so sure. At level 1, just like the Paladin, we will be getting earlier access to our spellcasting, so good. That at least is good. We'll also be able to use a Druid focus for our spells instead of always having to juggle with spell components between making attacks. Additionally, Rangers prepare their spells each day now instead of being stuck with your selections until you level. However, you can only swap out one spell per long rest, so I wouldn't expect a ton of extra versatility here. Just a little extra. Rangers, of course, will also
Wait, sorry. With the swapping out one spell, that's what it's been for literally every spellcaster except for the cleric and the paladin, because they could swap out like everything every day because they knew them all.
I thought wizards could swap out everything every day too. Or no, wizards is per level up.
Yeah.
It's not.
So they get they have theirs that they can, because they have the ones that they know. And they can swap those every day to choose between them. But everything else was like, if you level up, then you can swap out spells and stuff. Sorry, am I misinterpreting what he said? Hold on. Let me look at what it says. Ranger prepares its spells when they complete a long rest, just like the Druid, but they can only swap out one spell per day. Yeah, that's the same as what wizards could do. That's the same as what... But the Paladin and the... Okay, so I guess Rangers used to have more, because they did have the same kind of spell list as Clerics and Paladins, right? Or am I crazy? Did they used to just...
Dude, I'll be real with you. I'm not terribly familiar with how Ranger was in 5e.
That's fair. Give me a second. I'll look at
I kind of spent no time bothering with that class.
It's absolutely fair. Right. I forgot that this computer, I just completely didn't transfer over my D&D stuff. Okay.
5e Ranger.
Yeah, if you look at the spellcasting like feature for them and see what it says, that would be great.
Yeah.
Because I remember that you had a lot that you could work with, but you only had a few that you knew. And I don't know if they changed out or not.
Rangers change.
While you're looking that up, I'm gonna go grab my food because it finally arrived.
When you gain a level in this class, you can choose one of the ranger spells you know and replace it with another spell of the spell list.
So the same.
So when you gain right, very different.
Yeah.
When you gain a level, you can swap one.
Yeah.
You can swap one every day.
Right. Yes. Were you able to, did you know all of your spells beforehand? Like every ranger spell that you could swap through? That's what I was thinking about.
Wait, hold on. Repeat the question.
When you have your spell list, do you know all ranger spells, or are you only able to go through the ones that you know?
Yeah, could you freely select from everything on the ranger spell list? I don't believe so, but I will check.
Okay. I don't think so now, but if you could, then that's what it used to be, but
so of the spells known of the first level and higher,
yeah,
it says 2 first level spells of your choice from the ranger spell list. So I would assume no, you did not know everything.
So then they did change it. Okay. Yeah. So now you know all your spells basically, and you can swap them out. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah, pretty big.
Yeah,
not
I would
gonna
say
lie.
So. Give me just like 2 minutes. Hold on.
Yeah. Hello, people in the audience. What's poppin'? Let me get into this. How we doing, everyone? Entropy Omega, Timothy, Draco Kraken, hello. RDX, hello, welcome. Shin. Yeah, lots of familiar faces. Viridian. How's everyone doing? Lab is fine. Our manager of the day crew just had a baby, so he is on paternal leave. So our night manager is subbing for the day crew, leaving night crew alone to work in the lab by ourselves. And it's pretty tight. No engagements, so yes, Riff. Welcome back, Alejo.
Thank you. I now have food. Okay. So. Yes, my food didn't get lost. That's good. We'll see if somebody ate out of it again. Anyway. So, I don't even remember what we were talking about, really, other than spells.
We were talking about the ranger spell list.
Just a little extra. Rangers, of course, will also get access to weapon mastery, just like the Paladin, and the Natural Explorer feature that we used to get is gone for good now. Although the designers argue that the gaps it leaves behind are filled in by the availability of utility spells like Speak with Animals and Goodberry. I can see where they're coming from, but the Ranger needed a buff to catch up with the other classes, let alone keep up, and this is not a buff. The real source of contention here begins with the favored enemy feature that now sees...
How's everything going?
Oh, it's going all right. We're looking into these classes. Basically, just going over the changes and stuff and seeing what this guy has to say about them and what the community at large has said, I guess.
So, it seems like there might be a lull at the moment. Can I tell you a very, very short story?
Sure. I mean, the lull is because we paused it, so yeah.
Oh, okay, well, perfect. So tonight lately in my store where I work, they've had a display near my department where there is Oreo flavored Coke and Coke flavored Oreos.
Interesting.
Which is fucking weird. So I bought one of each for my parents to try because I was too fucking curious and I can't eat them.
Gotcha.
Apparently the Coke is fine. It just tastes like Coke with a chocolatey aftertaste.
Okay.
And the Oreos, for them, they were like way too sweet.
That makes sense.
So, yeah. But the funny part of the story is that when I was checking out, one of the older ladies, like late 50s, maybe early mid 60s, who was still doing like checkout stuff, she's like, "Oh man, I don't really like Oreos all that much. I don't like that lard that they have in the middle." And I don't know how you can be on Earth for so many years and not know that the filling of an Oreo is just icing. That's so weird.
There's a lot of confectioner's sugar. So, okay.
Yeah.
It was initially taught to me that the center of an Oreo was lard too.
What?
Really?
Yeah. And I opened up an Oreo, saw it looked kind of like lard, and kind of just accepted it.
So weird.
And then I turned 3, and my taste buds turned on, and I went, "This isn't lard."
Yeah, true.
Who told you that it was lard?
My mother.
Weird.
That's fucking weird.
It must have been a tactic to like make it so that you wouldn't eat them a lot, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's so weird though.
That's really weird. Anyway, I didn't.
Yeah.
I thought
Sorry,
that
Mom,
she was like one in a billion.
On this one, but
No, I mean, very strange.
Also, you heard it here, folks. The filling of an Oreo is icing, not lard.
Wikipedia. Oreo cookies were made with lard until the mid-1990s, when Nabisco swapped the animal fat with partially hydrogenated vegetable oil. Then in the mid-2000s, Nabisco eliminated the partially hydrogenated oil from the ingredients due to growing health concerns.
Interesting.
So that's why.
So it actually was. What the fuck?
Very interesting. Okay.
That's weird. I guess just as a binder?
Mm-hmm.
That's weird.
Well,
learn something new every day.
Through that. Timothy says, "Hi, boo."
Hello.
There you go. But yeah, we just started the Ranger thing. We went through the Paladin, and we are like, the Paladin is a good thing. He at the end said the Paladin is a good thing, though there are some technical debuffs in the sense of the smite and how you can't just smite everything all the time. And that was the major concern for everybody, because they want their overpowered Paladin. Which we're like, but it's more tactical now, and it seems a lot more like you can do a lot more with it. So no, it's fine. But yeah, so we've just gotten past spells. We'll see what else we've got here.
Us with the Hunter's Mark spell, Always Prepared, and the ability to cast it proficiency bonus times per long rest for free. The spell itself is definitely a good one, offering us 1d6 extra damage anytime we hit a creature with an attack, and 2 free castings of it this early on is going to be very impactful for us. However, veteran players will also know that this spell often cripples the Ranger's spellcasting by requiring concentration, when so many of the Ranger's other great spells also require concentration.
Am I incorrect? Maybe you'll say it, but I thought that it was no longer technically a concentration spell. I don't remember.
I think he's still talking about like regular 5e.
Oh, okay, yeah.
This is better than the solution posed by Tasha's Cauldron of Everything that gave us a class feature that was actually weaker than the spell and required concentration, but I'm frankly surprised that WoTC is still so stuck on this. Then at level 2...
Oh, no, okay, yeah, so apparently it still requires concentration? I don't actually know.
That's weird.
Let me see if... Because I could have sworn Hunter's Mark one D&D. Gross. Yeah, this one, sure. Give me Unearthed Arcana. Oh no, this is a forum post. Alright. There we go. No, it's still concentration. Weird. Okay. I mean, I get why, but at the same time, I don't know. It does feel like it should be like you can just use the spell and not have the concentration thing, because otherwise, you know, it kind of just takes up that ability.
Yeah,
like
it's kind of like a set it and forget it sort of thing.
Yeah, for sure. So.
Gain expertise in a skill of our choice that we're proficient in, and 2 languages as well from the Deft Explorer feature, which is almost a copy and paste from Tasha's Cauldron. It's pretty likely that most rangers will go with survival, stealth, or perception here, and I'm pretty happy to have such a high bonus to an important ability this early on.
True.
However, this is really just keeping us on par with the previous ranger with Tasha's optional class features. Is this really a redesign, or is it just a reprint at this point? We'll also get a fighting style here just like the Paladin, so there's not much else to note except that the Druidic Warrior option from Tasha's has been added, though I can't currently see it being of much use compared to the other options. If you want extra cantrips to focus on your spellcasting, you should probably be playing a Druid instead, or at least multiclassing. Then we'll get access to our Ranger subclass at level 3, choosing from Beastmaster, Fey Wanderer, Gloomstalker, and Hunter. Admittedly, several of these options did receive a large degree of reworking, but not all of them for the best. The Beastmaster stat blocks now scale with you like they did in Tasha's, and the beast you fight alongside can even benefit from your Hunter's Mark at least once per turn, resulting in a considerable increase in damage, even if we're still being forced to use Hunter's Mark. Fey Wanderer didn't change much and still...
Yeah, I guess if that's the baseline that we're gonna have some problems with, like, that's a good baseline to have of a problem because of that concentration. Now, it's easy enough, and I think everyone would agree that you could just go, it's no longer a concentration spell, and it works basically the same still.
Yeah.
You know? Just to make it so that it's actually something that feels more like a change and more like a useful part of, or essential part of the kit. You're still spending the spell slots and everything. Upcasting it, I believe, still does that, the benefits, so you're still, you know, having that balance there. But yeah, it's an easy change that we probably will see something. I mean, to be fair, I don't know, but I'm hoping that when it actually comes out on the 17th, that it will be slightly different, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see.
Grants you teleports galore with Misty Step and extra castings of the Summon Face spell. You'll also get some extra psychic damage on your attacks, and you'll get features that guard you against being charmed or frightened, just like before. The Gloomstalker, as you might have guessed, however, is not the same. You'll still be considered invisible for creatures that need dark vision to see you, and you'll still get dark vision or a boost to it if you already have it, though you'll now be considered good at initiative and get some extra damage that you can apply on more than just the first round of combat, a limited number of times per day. The rest of the subclass is quite different as well, giving you abilities to exude an aura of fear and teleport out of harm's way when targeted with an attack, at least according to the playtest. And perhaps the most altered out of these subclasses is the Hunter, who now gets to know the resistances, immunities, and vulnerabilities of Hunter's marked creatures, and even change out their multiple choice class features instead of being locked into them like they were before.
Yeah,
there's
cool.
some other new bits here too, like reaction resistance to a damage type that lasts until the end of the current turn, and a way to do a little extra damage to another enemy with your Hunter's Mark. I know I wasn't a huge fan of this subclass in the past, but it does actually feel like it's getting the Ranger to where it needs to be now, even if we're still once again relying way too heavily on a first level spell in Hunter's Mark. From there, we'll get the same feat levels at 4th, 8th, 12th, and 16th, as well as an epic boon at 19th level and an extra attack.
That's a good question. What other great ranger spells are concentration? Did I never read through the ranger spell list? True. Let's actually find out, because that's a very valid question. Spell list 5e. Okay. Let's see. Beast Bond is there. Detect magic, detect poison and disease. Okay, these are all. Let's just go to 5th level and see what we got. Freedom of the Winds. I've never heard of that. HB?
And you move fast.
Ah. It's, yeah. Let's see. Swift Quiver, Tree Stride, Wrath of Nature. Wrath of Nature.
Conjure woodland beings at 4th level.
There you go.
Grasping Vine, also at 4th.
Also good.
Actually, most of 4th. All of 4th, except for 1. Duration is concentration.
True, yeah. Yeah, Wrath of Nature is the... Yeah, whatever is around will start doing stuff to somebody, basically. So, like, trees will fucking whip their branches at shit, in a 10-foot cube. Roots and vines will restrain things. Rocks will, launch themselves at creatures. That's great.
Hey, Alejo, really quick.
Yeah.
Is your phone number still the same?
Should be. Hang on. Did I give you my phone number?
A long time ago, yeah.
Oh, I'll send it to you. Just to make sure.
And do it in a way that you won't dox yourself, please.
Yeah. No, I'm doing it from my phone onto your thing, so don't worry about it.
Okay, great. Yeah, you can text me.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I have your number still, so I'll just send you a Discord message.
Okay.
But yeah, so a lot of concentration spells, so you actually lose out on a hell of a lot of stuff if you're constantly concentrating on Hunter's Mark. Not great. So yeah, I really hope that in the official stuff, they actually change it.
At 5th level. Level 6 will give us a sizable 10 feet of extra movement speed as well as a climbing and swimming speed equal to your walking speed. But you won't be able to benefit from that if you want to wear heavy armor. Granted, Rangers don't have heavy armor proficiency to begin with, but I feel like this added caveat wasn't really necessary and it wasn't there in the old version from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. We'll get 2 more expertise skills at level 9 so we can have great bonuses to survival, stealth, and perception for living out that ranger flavor fantasy, but it does feel like level 9 could be a little late for some campaigns to experience that. At level 10, in another...
Most of them, apparently, because... Well, at this point, it will be interesting to see how far people go in levels these days, these coming days, because we do have a lot more stuff that happens, and it'll be interesting to see how they may have balanced creatures more to make it so that it's less of a slog when you get past level 10. But I don't know. Of course, I'm just talking raw, because obviously, you know, if you're doing anything that you want, you can balance it however you need to make it interesting past level 10. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't know Void people had phone numbers. I have a Void phone. It's good.
Dude. Also, if you want to, you can go in and you can remove that, just so that way you don't wind up accidentally doxing yourself somehow.
No, you're fine. I don't have anything that should do that. Not anymore. Oh, my dad tried to warn me off smoked oysters as a kid, but I liked them anyways. I was a weird kid. Hey, that's fair. Smoked oysters aren't good. Yeah. They had real Coke in Coke, so why not lard and Oreos? True.
Yeah, that's honestly fair.
Adaptation of the optional rules from 5e, the new ranger can use an action to grant themselves temporary HP, and you'll get to remove a level of exhaustion when you complete a short rest instead of the typical long rest requirement. This will probably be pretty impactful in my own games due to some of the homebrew rules that I run to make the game a little more challenging, but I'm not sure how often I'll see it used at other tables. There really isn't much changed here aside from its number of uses.
What I hope, the biggest hope that I have is that these additions to, basically additions to 5, will make the people that look at it have that inspiration to start doing things like that. to see these people utilizing these rules in such a way so that they can make their games, make them work a little bit more often, more interestingly. Like, that's always been the case with having a rule set that has all of these defined things. Yes, you have a lot of more rigid definitions a lot of the time, but it also creates these moments where you can have these ideas of how can I work around these limitations in a way, you know? How can I utilize all of these powers and such in a way that makes it so that I can make it a little bit, like, I can fuck with it a little bit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I really hope that it makes that creativity, like, happen more, because exhaustion was always something that was just kind of there and, you know, in the back of everybody's mind, really, and it wasn't something that was mechanically put into play a lot, slash when it was very easy to combat, right? And so that's something that you can utilize as a catalyst to create, you know, these homebrew aspects that make it so that exhaustion is actually something that you have to deal with a lot more or something. So having also these defined rules as a thing to fall back on is something that just gives people that opportunity to see how these things will work in the game, granted that they are balanced enough and do work, to then have them be a strong core to characters or core to the world, really, that they can then branch off of. That's my hope. I want to pick up 1E, but I just get sleepy when I try to learn new things now. I don't know if I'd get it around to 5E or 5.5 even if I wasn't put off of Wizards of the Coast now. That's fair. That is fair. Yeah, I think I might get the player's handbook at least just to see it. Just to see what's going on, really. Because it does look, at least, again, like we've said, more tactical. At least more tactically focused for combat stuff. All the rest of it, like role-playing wise, didn't need to change, and it hasn't really, as far as we're aware, because you don't need to do much to change that, right? You don't need to do anything to it. It's just the whole aspect that you can go into yourself, really. You don't need defined things for a lot of it. So there's no reason to really look at those books for anything more than the combat, really, at this point, unless you're brand new. Obviously.
Being tied to your wisdom modifier instead of your proficiency bonus. So again, is this really a redesign, WoTC? 13th level gives us the first truly new feature for Ranger, as taking damage can no longer break our concentration on Hunter's Mark. But this doesn't change the fact that we are still concentrating on Hunter's Mark.
True.
We weren't worried about losing concentration. We're worried about what concentration is preventing us from doing, accessing most of the spellcasting feature of this class. And
now, to be fair, they might have made it so that a lot of spells aren't necessarily concentration that are for the ranger.
It's true.
Because we don't know all of the spells in the 2024 thing at the moment, but it might be the case still, which means that they're probably not going to redesign what they've already put in there, because it's kind of too late at this point. They've already kind of put out this playtest material, and I understand that it is still the playtest material and all this stuff, but I don't know if they're going to completely redesign the Ranger, you know, at this point, or have already done so. But I actually do agree that this does feel more like they just reprinted what they did for Tasha's stuff, because that was all the optional stuff that you could do instead of all of the core stuff. And they've just kind of gone and said, no, this is now the core. Which, again,
this is just what we do now.
It's a lot of good changes, but at the same time, it's like, well, we didn't really change anything because this is just what was there. You just now made it so that this is my only option.
Yeah. Granted,
the previous other option wasn't better necessarily, so I don't know. Having bluff up super high on 3.5 is powerful. Yes.
Yeah.
I love to learn stuff. Whether or not it stays in my head is the question. True.
Even that aside, this feels like it comes online pretty late with no added boost to the damage output of Hunter's Mark itself. We're presumably still just getting an extra 1d6 damage on our attacks this late in the game. Then we're back to our old tricks at level 14. Once again, we have an ability that's pulled straight from the optional rules for Ranger in 5e, and we're calling it New. This one will allow us to become invisible as a bonus action until the end of our next turn, granting advantage to any attack rolls we make during that time. This feature may not be new, but it is quite strong since taking actions and attacks by extension doesn't end our invisibility, and the old version actually only lasted until the start of your next turn, so we can benefit from advantaged attacks on 2 subsequent turns. Moreover, we'll be able to do this wisdom modifier times per long rest instead of it being tied to our proficiency bonus.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That brings up an interesting thought here. Earlier, our wisdom modifier was likely to be just a bit better than our proficiency bonus, but now I'm not so sure. As we get into the late game, our proficiency bonus is likely to be higher than our wisdom modifier, and that makes this a slight nerf, not a buff to the old ranger. We'll become a precise hunter at level 7.
Right, but I don't know. At the same time, it really depends on if you like. Yes, these things are part of the thing, and you've always wanted to get a bit of wisdom for your ranger because that was its spellcasting stat, and it really depends on what type of ranger you want to be, I guess. For some things, this being tied to wisdom is a good idea, I think, because having greater invisibility be tied to proficiency instead doesn't, one, make sense to me just from a spellcasting perspective, but also having them be able to do it like at that point, like what, 10 times or something? Like, I don't know. I don't remember what proficiency is at that level, but it would be, I mean, you could basically use it for most of the day. Yeah. Which is a good thing technically, but at the same time, I don't know. That's a lot.
Yeah, no, that is a lot.
I don't know.
And it seems like it's greater invisibility.
Yeah. So like I can see if you do have it that way that you could utilize it more in not combat as well, which would be interesting. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's something that I'm a little of two minds about, I guess.
For advantage on attacks against creatures marked by Hunter's Mark. And by this point, you'd have 6 free castings of the spell as well. This always-on advantage is nice, but it creates an awkward overlap with our 14th level ability that we just mentioned, and I wonder how often it'll actually come into play. Even then, the feature is on par at best compared to what most other classes get this late in the game, so I'm not at all thrilled about what we're seeing here. Instead of a brand new class or a redesign, it feels like we got a random assortment of abilities from older material and a couple of new features sprinkled in with little to no thought about how they synergize together. To further that,
for the one thing, but also like, am I crazy, or did he say that he thinks that this is on par with everything else that's been put out for other classes? I thought that's what he said when he was saying on par. Hold on, I just need to hear it again. Let's go back.
Precise Hunter at level 17 for advantage on attacks against creatures marked by Hunter's Mark. And by this point, you'd have 6 free castings of the spell as well. This always-on advantage is nice, but it creates an awkward overlap with our 14th level ability that we just mentioned, and I wonder how often it'll actually come into play.
First off, okay, I've just realized that you said that. Sorry, I just started like hearing, basically, I just started not paying attention. The ability to always have advantage on Hunter's Mark will come into play when you utilize Hunter's Mark. Your 14th level ability is to go invisible, which gives you advantage on one target if you utilize it and then, hit somebody. If it's greater invisibility, you'll have the 2, but if it's regular invisibility, you'll have the 1 person. Hunter's Mark is all the time. So the overlap will be there for like 1 turn, maybe. What are you talking about? I don't understand. What's there?
Yeah, he kind of lost me with it, honestly.
Yeah, I don't get what the weirdness is for you, I guess. Because it sounds like 1 is utilized for getting a free shot on something else, slash if you don't have Hunter's Mark, slash if you need to get out of there, slash whatever. Other one is Hunter's Mark that you utilize and then can move to other people when they die and gets the damage bonus all the time and then always has the advantage at that point. Like,
I don't know.
It's very different, I think. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a weird one. I don't know why that's an issue.
Yeah, it doesn't really feel like it conflicts much. The faraway camera view in this video looks off-center. It is, because he's supposed to be next to that bookcase, though not having himself centered is weird. Not gonna lie, most of this feels really for a musket ranger, but overall, I'm not seeing the problem. At least the class is not bogged down with a bunch of biome-specific or enemy-specific skills. Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really nice.
Even then, the feature is on par at best compared to what most other classes get this late in the game, so I'm not at all thrilled about what we're seeing here.
So the feature's on par with what other people get, and you're not happy about that?
Yeah, why do you not like that?
Do you
don't
want
them
the
to be
ranger?
equal?
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you want the ranger to be better than everything else, or
worse?
Oh, or do you mean on par with everything that you've gotten before in the class?
Oh,
So it's not really a progression. If
Yeah.
that's what you
Maybe.
mean, then okay, I get that. Because I would agree to that. That does kind of feel like what it is. It's kind of like a very slow upward trend, but it's not really like something that feels different.
like a big upgrade.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it's that much different to a ranger now. It just feels like they tweaked a couple of things that needed to be tweaked. But I still think it's better than what we had, so I don't know.
Oh, definitely. But
Instead of a brand new class or a redesign, it feels like we got a random assortment of abilities from older material and a couple of new features sprinkled in with little to no thought about how they synergize together. To further that conclusion, our level 18 ability is basically just a clarification and an improvement of a former feature that now gives us 30 feet of blind sight. The overall idea seems
Yeah, I will say, for an 18th level thing, I don't know if just giving blind sight is the best thing ever.
yeah,
It's good to be able to see the invisible things, I get that, but you're usually, if we want to be the stereotypical ranger, you're not 30 feet away from somebody.
yeah.
You know?
And you're in a group of people, so you probably have somebody else who is doing the invisibility detection bullshit.
Yeah. So it's good for if somebody's trying to get into the back line invisibly, I guess. But that's a very specific circumstance. So it's I guess you could extend it to some things. It's good for roleplay as well, I guess. If people are using invisibility stuff and then stuff is underground or something, like 30 feet underground or, something like that. You've got a few options there. But yeah, I don't know. It feels a little weird.
Yeah.
seems to be that we could utilize effects like magical darkness, hunter's mark, and our invisibility to always have advantage and attack from unseen vantages, but the reality seems a bit more clunky. These abilities don't work together to form anything greater than the sum of their parts. Instead, they offer different overlapping ways to do the same thing. If Hunter's
That's
Mark
not
is
true.
so important and we have so many free uses, why do we need Blind Sight except for niche scenarios with magical darkness?
That is true.
Why do we want invisibility except to hide ourselves from the enemy and redirect whatever attacks would be headed our way to one of our allies instead? And then
Why would I want to do that? That's crazy. What?
Why would I want to go invisible?
Yeah, what the fuck are you trying to say with that?
Yeah, what the hell? Okay, that you've lost me entirely.
I now have no idea where we are with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
what
been
the
having
hell?
a really hard time following along with this video too.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I don't know why, but nothing is sticking.
Yeah,
in my head.
It's weird. Like,
Yeah, it's something about like all of the information he's given me is just like water off a duck's back.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
I'm really trying, but like I don't know.
But something about this is just not well done and is really not catching my attention.
Maybe it's just because we're in the Ranger section and we're not familiar with Rangers, because we were there for the Paladin one, Aiden and I. Like we were really honing in on that, so maybe it is just the Ranger. I don't know. Forever damned the Ranger.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think Brogan does this type of video better. Plug. Yes.
we'll get the real letdown at 20th level with our Capstone Foe Slayer. With this ability unlocked, our Hunter's Mark will deal 1d10 force damage on each hit instead of 1d6. This is a noteworthy improvement, yes, but it's one that I would have liked to have seen a lot earlier, considering that we're so shackled to using Hunter's Mark for about half of our abilities to even function up to this point. Even with this boost, the Ranger's damage output falls short of where it should be, regardless of the always advantage that it has. I'm obviously pretty surprised by this apparent lack of attention that the Ranger has been given, but there are some silver linings here. It's not all bad. First, the Ranger is certainly better than the 2014 printing and even a bit better than the Tasha's Cauldron version. Second, the spell list for Rangers has supposedly seen some reworking, so hopefully that means we'll have much less of a reliance on concentration spells. Third, the playtest did feature a new version of Hunter's Mark with upcasting that markedly increased its damage output, so depending on if that made it through, it could make the design choices here a whole lot more reasonable.
It's weird that you save that until now.
Yeah.
Instead of talking about it when we were talking about Hunter's Mark, because it like I remembered that, but only because I read it before. And it's kind of pretty important information, because
you would think that based on your argument, if your argument about Hunter's Mark is based on whether or not it's weak or it's concentration or it's a problem, you would start with this. So that way you have that way you can give your viewers as much context as possible.
Exactly.
So that way they can understand why you have issues with it.
Yeah, like very strange.
That's weird.
Very, very, very strange. Because it does add that like the if I remember correctly, the free casts might be well, no, I don't know if they're free for like base level. They probably are, because that's usually how it works. Free for base level, which is first level, I guess. And then you upcast it to do even more. So that makes it so that relying on that concentration at higher levels makes sense, because you're doing, instead of 1d6, you're doing 5d6 at a higher level cast or whatever, and then later on with the change it becomes 5d10 force damage, right? Like,
yeah,
that really does actually change a lot of the context, because if I'm relying on the Hunter's Mark and I have these spell slots to make it even the fuck better, then why wouldn't I be using it all the time instead of other concentration spells? So why did you not say that before?
Oh my god, that's another... Holy shit.
Weird.
When you use a spell slot of 5th level or higher, you can maintain your concentration on Hunter's Mark for 24 hours instead of 1. What the fuck?
That's even better!
That's also fucking huge.
Yeah!
Granted, you need a 5th level spell slot, but I don't know when hunters get that, or rangers.
That's
whatever.
their highest. So I want to say maybe 14, or maybe a little bit before that. I don't know. Because 3rd is 5th, so it's probably
because I know they don't have nearly as high spell slots as like casters.
Yeah.
Since it's a lower level one, I don't know when they get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what the fuck. Now, granted, you can still only do it on one person, but still, like if you're using it to track them,
yeah, exactly. You do it on your big bad, and then your big bad escapes, and you can kind of track them for a while. Like seems pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Haha! Attack my friends instead. Yes. Make a small ranger so you can ride your animal companion as a mount into dungeons. Always been a concept I've liked. And give them a lance.
Oh.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh my god. If the target drops to 0 before the spell ends, you can use a bonus action to mark a new creature, and it doesn't cost a new spell. So
that's always been the case.
Wouldn't be. Yeah. So then it wouldn't. Yeah, I'm not familiar with rangers.
Oh, okay.
Or 5e rangers.
Fair.
That would mean that if you have it for 24 hours, everything you're attacking is marked.
Exactly. Essentially, yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So
I really, really hope they keep that.
Yeah, honestly, it's probably gonna be the way that they keep it. But yeah, it's just weird to leave out until the very end of your section on the ranger. That's very important information.
Also, I'm so mad. First off, I like that it has a verbal component, but I think it should definitely have a somatic one too. So that way you can be like, you point, you're next, and you do like, and the somatic component is drawing your thumb across your neck. That would be great.
Well, you can just do that anyway, so.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that. So it has a somatic component. I have to do that shit.
Sure.
Am I the only one who's always imagined Hunter's Mark as in like making a finger gun and then like going like? Phew.
Oh, that's also very good.
Yeah, that's another one that's good.
Oh my god.
Finally, the Ranger subclasses actually seem like they'll be adding quite a bit of damage output and utility on top of both Hunter's Mark and the base class, so that could help to balance things out a little too. Regardless, it should be said that the Ranger is a likely contender for the worst class in D&D again, but it's not alone at the bottom. Even I have been pretty happy with the Rogues updates coming into the 2024 PHP, but there are some implications that make this new version a little worse than you might first think.
Because of the implication. It's the implication, you see.
Yes.
To start, just like the Paladin and Ranger, we will get weapon mastery with 2 weapons of our choice that we can change out after a long rest. And this will already increase the Rogue's abilities in combat. The Vex and Nick properties in particular work really well for the Rogue's sneak attack, which we will still get at level 1 along with expertise in 2 skills or Thieves tools and Thieves Can't, which now grants an extra language proficiency. Things continue going well at level 2 with our typical cunning action that allows us to dash, disengage, or hide as a bonus action. And then at level 3, we'll see the steady aim optional feature from Tasha's has made it into the Rogue's base class, which will afford us advantage when we take a bonus action to steady ourselves and set our speed to 0, so long as we haven't moved yet on our turn. This feature is an awesome addition and has been a great part of many games at many tables since its introduction a few years ago, so I'm happy to see it added here officially. We'll also get to pick out a subclass here in the Arcane Trickster, Assassin, Soul Knife, and Thief. The Arcane Trickster we all know and love is mostly unchanged with a few improvements like the removal of spell school restrictions for your spell selection, the ability to use an Arcane Focus, and a boost to your Mage Hand ability so that it can be used to trip enemies in between stealing all their stuff. I actually covered the Assassin at length in another video since we did get the full rules for that subclass earlier if you'd like to check that out.
One of the biggest complaints about Mage Hand has always been the fact that it can only be used to like affect objects. Like you can't use Mage Hand to choke someone out or even to slap them. So the fact that you can choose to target creatures with what is essentially a summon.
Very, very good.
Yeah,
I
that's
wonder.
pretty fucking good.
I mean, it's good to have for the rogue, but I wonder, or sorry, the arcane trickster rogue in particular.
Mhm.
I wonder if mages will be able to just be able to do that, considering they, are technically better at magic.
Yeah, who knows?
I hope so.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Soul Knife got some improvements to their psychic blades that allows them to utilize their weapons for opportunity attacks and use the Vex weapon mastery property with them in general. The Thief got the most noteworthy improvements that allow you to attune to more magic items and activate them as a bonus action, gain a climb speed and use your dexterity for jump distance, and even make attacks while hidden and stay hidden. 4th level gives us the same feat options as everyone.
Yeah. So if you want to be a rogue with mage armor or shield, you can. Nice. True. Yeah. Now, if a kobold ranger uses a lance, is it a dragon lance? Nice.
Else, and you might be wondering, where's the problem? Don't worry, I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
At level 5, we'll get access to our first completely new feature for Rogue outside of weapon mastery, and it's one that I really like. Cunning Strike inflicts certain debilitating effects when we hit with our sneak attack.
It's fucking
and so,
sick.
in exchange for 1d6 of our sneak attack damage dice, we can poison our target for 1 minute against a Constitution saving throw that they can repeat at the end of each of their turns, trip an opponent into the prone condition against a dexterity saving throw, or immediately withdraw and move up to half our movement speed without provoking opportunity attacks. The saving throw DC for the first 2 effects will end up being 8 plus our dexterity modifier and our proficiency bonus, but this is where things get a little iffy. With the previous version of the Rogue, many in the community would often point out that their damage output was fairly lacking compared to other classes, even other martials. With most other classes seeing some pretty significant damage increases, the Rogue is actually losing damage here for the possibility of their target failing the save. I think any doubt could have been expelled.
Right, but you can just not use it.
Yeah.
I guess instead of a bonus to damage, you're getting a utility.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's usually what the trade-off is.
Exactly. Like I said before with the paladin, they're making it so that you have to now think.
Yeah.
You don't have to, though. That's the thing. You can just stand there and do your sneak attack and that's it as well if you want.
Yeah.
But now you have the option to also go, ooh, but maybe I want to poison this guy. Ooh, but maybe I want to throw him on the ground. Ooh, but,
or maybe I want to run away.
Yeah. So it's good to have options, I guess.
Unless those options have less damage than the normal one.
Right, exactly. So I get that the rogue has always been a DPS, but at the same time, this is so that you can be more than just that.
Yeah.
As I've said, it feels like 2024's D&D is going to be about tactics.
Yes.
Which is something that I very much am a fan of, because they're really making it a more robust combat system like it used to be, or at least closer to like it used to be, which again, it had its stuff that it had in 5e, but now it's just getting more, which is good, because it was a simple template that you could just slap a bunch of things onto, and that's basically what they did.
Yeah.
So I get, again, I'm not doing enough damage, but I don't know, you're helping out in so many other ways too,
Yeah, I
get it. Damage is the thing, but we don't even know what the new monster stats are.
Yeah.
They
could be bitches.
They might change, they might change it so that, again, everything isn't so fucking squishy. Or, sorry, tanky. The other way around.
Yeah.
I was gonna be like, what the fuck?
But yeah, no, they might change it so that everything is a lot less tanky, because now you can do all this other shit, and it can lead to you killing them, in 2 or 3 turns if you're very much in good luck, right? But it's just to set up a bunch of things so that you can continue to do more damage. Because, like, tripping somebody can put them prone, which makes it so that you get advantage on melee attacks against them. So then you can potentially get a crit more often, and, you know, blah, 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 blah. Like, it's all in the sake of teamwork, really.
Yes.
Which feels good, at least to me.
And that's like half the focus with isn't it Vex?
Yeah, I think so.
There's some new weapon mastery that like it specifically like helps your team.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find it.
But yeah,
I could have sworn.
I think you're right. And when you find it, obviously, you know, say it. But I think that's another thing that really needs to be focused on a lot more with this, is that it does feel like a lot more teamwork is in play, or at least focused on for combat in this new edition. So that, you know, everybody's involved and you can strategize more, and it's less about your paladin going in and hitting the thing 3 times with all max damage smites and killing it instantly. You know, it's less about the individual.
Yeah.
Not to say
you're significantly less bursty.
Yeah.
It feels like an actual team fight now.
Exactly. And not to say that you won't have things like that happen, because you absolutely will still. That's still something that will absolutely happen, in the sense of somebody out damages somebody else in certain instances. But, you know, everybody can contribute to that in some way.
And, you know, the other thing that I don't really get that's really weird to me in this instance. So you're a rogue, obviously. In D&D, rogues are both DPS and skill monkeys. We all know this. So you have a major issue with the fact that the rogue's sneak attack, specifically on the thief, which is ostensibly the guy who's doing more lock picking and trap finding and potentially role playing and stealing, has lost damage. Okay.
No, they're saying overall.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was about to say, like, it seems really weird that you have an issue with the thief losing so much damage when you have the option of just playing the assassin, who most likely just does more damage.
Yeah, and I think that is true. But no, they're saying overall is just from the core stuff.
I see.
Yeah, but again, the trade-off is for utility, right? So
yeah,
So I found the weapon, the masteries.
Yeah.
And of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, out of 8 masteries that they've revealed so far, 3 of them are distinctively teamwork, insofar as sap.
Excuse me.
It gives disadvantage. Yeah. Sap gives, when you hit an enemy with an attack, this mastery property inflicts disadvantage on your target's next attack roll before the start of your next turn.
Yep.
Slow, which reduces move speed by 10 feet, always good. Topple, which gives, you know, trip. And then they also have push, which I'm not putting as distinctly assist based,
right?
But like, I definitely could make the case.
Oh yeah, easily
allows you to push them 10 feet without a save.
Yes, never forget.
Which is still stupid.
Yeah,
good Jesus,
it's so powerful. But I mean,
a good Jesus would never have created the show.
But if I can do it, so can they. So, you know, it's the way that it is. We can now have literal team, like, faction fights of pushing people into other people.
Yeah, dude.
So
you can fuck your peasant rail cannon.
Yeah, true.
Right?
Yeah,
you
dude.
can line people up with push.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, so like I said, very much more teamwork focused, it feels, which is good. Does anyone else want a whip cracked sound when he turns his head? A little bit, yeah. My computer decided to interpret my attempt to type a sentence as me wanting to open another video again. Oh, fun. The poison damage is still and 1d6 plus the chance for the poison status, so you don't lose any damage. That is true. It is the fact that they aren't getting like a boost in any way, rather than having this additional like side effect. That seems to be the case that he's talking about. I don't know, but yes, you're right. It is still damaging. So,
yeah, it's kind of weird that, like, I feel like if they want to lower the damage on the sneak attack, that's fine.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're giving it some utility and options, I really like that.
Yeah.
But it seems weird to me that they wouldn't give the assassin something specific that's like, oh, your sneak attack does additional damage.
They might.
And just, I think they probably will, and keep the thief as more of like a skill monkey.
Yeah, they might.
Or at least that's what I would do.
Right. It probably is going to be something like that, because I remember Assassin before did do more damage depending on things, and then Thief was absolutely just, yeah, you get better climb and all that kind of stuff, right? Like,
yeah,
it was absolutely the way it was, and I don't think they're going to change the theme,
Mm-hmm.
They're at least going to work with it. Teamwork, but D&D is about being the main character of the campaign. True!
Yeah.
Teamwork makes the dream work. That is true.
If the rogue's sneak attack damage would have been increased slightly to account for this new feature, but they didn't do that, and this causes the problem to compound a little bit later. First, it's important to note that we'll still get expertise in 2 more skills at level 6, and we'll get the wildly powerful reliable talent feature at level 7 now, instead of at level 11. This is what allows the rogue to treat any 9 or lower on a d20 roll for a tool or skill that we have proficiency with as a 10 instead. This was a pretty wild ability before, and now it's available even earlier. It's certainly a bright spot for the new rogue base class, and almost makes up for the issues I mentioned a moment ago. And keep in mind that we will still have the good old evasion feature here too, so we can still dodge fireballs and other dexterity saving throws like nobody's business, taking no damage on a success and half damage on a failure. This level will be huge for the new rogue, and it should be, since we won't see another base class feature until we get to level 11, where we get improved Cunning Strike. At this point, we'll be able to use 2 of our Cunning Strike options every time we land a sneak attack instead of just 1. I'd imagine that most of the time we'll be trying to poison them and withdraw, or poison them and trip them prone, but now we're sacrificing 2d6 damage on every sneak attack. This, ironically...
If you choose to.
No. Also, the poison is 1d6 plus. Like, it's still scaling.
Yeah. And you can choose to not do that stuff, correct?
Yeah, you absolutely can just not do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, so, like... What?
But I need to choose. The thing that I choose has downsides, though.
But you can just not choose it.
I just want to do damage. I just want to kill the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Like the fact that there is a choice is a problem, apparently.
So now wait. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you do a sneak attack and you don't choose to do one of the special actions, do you do more damage?
I would assume you just do your regular damage. Let me hold on.
Yeah, because that's worth knowing, because that will, if that is the case and you can choose to do no special action and you do full damage, then this is a complete non-issue.
Exactly.
It really turns this into a no take only throw situation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let me see. Where is it? Okay, so this is not correct. That's not what I needed. Thank you. Is that it? Sure, D&D Fanatics. Yeah, that's great. Okay, I don't care. Yeah. Trade sneak attack damage die for one of 3 effects. So yeah, instead of doing your sneak attack damage, you could sacrifice a d6
to do that.
Yes.
So if you don't want to, you get to do full damage. So this is a complete non-issue.
Having choices
literally
is
says
bad when the choices remove fat damage number.
when you deal sneak attack damage, you can choose to forego one or more sneak attack damage die to add a cunning strike effect to your attack. And obviously it depends on the cost of each effect, but yeah, you can just not do that.
Yeah.
So there's no issue. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
there's no issue.
This is literally complaining that you have the option to, when you attack an enemy, sneak up behind them, trip them, poison them, and then get the fuck out of dodge and prepare things for your, I don't know, barbarian who wields a 2d6 greatsword.
Exactly.
Who can now potentially crit because you have made them prone. But because you are sacrificing the damage, Mr. Rogue, this is now bad because you have helped your team, which is lame.
And you technically haven't lost out on any damage capability whatsoever because you can choose to, if you are alone, do none of that and just shank the motherfucker.
No, having choices is bad if the
Don't
choice makes me a lame ass.
Oh my god. Oh, what the fuck?
Apparently that is the issue, which is a non-issue because sometimes I gotta think though.
This buff is bad because my team benefits from it.
Exactly.
This honestly makes me want to play a Skaven. Because I really dig that sneak attack.
Yeah, no, it's great. I love the cunning
super dig
options.
that.
Yeah.
Because that is absolutely what I would do. I would run in there, sneak attack, trip, poison, scamper away.
Yeah, exactly.
Do that shit.
Exactly.
Literally be a fucking rat bastard.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's so ripe for so many good setups. And I can just see that immediately, but I'm sacrificing my damage. So
I'm the gutter runner, so I go in, I do my sneaky shit,
Yeah.
and then the guy who is playing as the rat ogre then charges in.
Exactly.
Does the mutated rat ogre fucking belly flop into the whole unit?
Yeah. I've never really put myself into a position to incur the multi-class XP penalty, but I guess one level of sorcerer or wizard could let you have a mage, armor, rogue. Of course, I'm thinking in 3.5 here. Yes, yeah, true.
Yeah.
Don't forget about use magic device. True.
Mm-hmm.
So I only know this because I looked at this rogue earlier this week, but you get an ASI at level 4, 8, 10, 12, 14, and I forget how often from them. Weird to gloss over how often you get them now. Yeah.
10, 12, 14? Jesus Christ, it's every 2 levels.
Yeah, because I think because ASIs are now feats, so instead of taking an ASI feat, you can take a different feat as well. Like, it's bringing that back, that's why.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I'm also going back to him talking about epic boons.
Yes.
And he was like, why would you want to take them? It's like, well, yeah, if I've had 10 ASIs by the time that I hit level 20, or 19 now, I'll have 9 ASIs. If I have already had 9 ASIs, what do I need with another one?
Yeah. And it might be that the actual ASI feat has limits. You never know. Like, we'll see when it comes out, but yeah, I think that's just because they're giving back the feats thing. So
yeah,
it makes sense in that respect.
That is very strange. Like, that's very strange because so did he do any looking into the epic boons, or what are the epic boons? Are they like super good?
He's only talked about a couple of them. He's not really gone into them because they're not technically like part of this. You know, they are just an option that is at the end for like everybody to get.
Do either of you have any examples of an epic boon?
There were some pretty interesting epic boons.
We talked about a few when we talked about 5.5e.
I think so.
Yeah, it's been a long time since then.
It is true. Here we go. I got a whole bunch. So,
okay.
Rogue got Boon of the Night Spirit. You increase one ability score by 1 up to a maximum of 30. While in Dim Light or Darkness, you have resistance to all damage except Psychic and Radiant, and as a bonus action, you can gain the Invisible Condition.
What the fuck?
Yeah, because you're at level 19, so fucking go for it, dude.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, okay.
So something like that, or Barbarian, Boon of Irresistible Offense. This Boon of Epic Proportions allows you to strength or dex by 1. You also get the ability to overcome resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing with with your attacks. And when you roll 20 on a die, you get to deal damage equal to the ability score and that you use to make the attack.
Damn.
So yeah.
So okay, then here's my counter argument.
Or ability score modifier.
Ability score.
Ability score.
Yep. Full score.
Yeah.
Yep.
So then here is my counter argument.
Yeah.
Why would you take an epic boon over an ASI? Because an ASI can be achieved through a single fucking magic item.
True.
You put on a ring, it gives you a charisma. You fucking wear boots, it gives you a dex.
And also,
I can't get those fucking badass effects with a magic item.
Yeah, well, at 19, you
hold
only
on.
have the ability to get an epic boon. So
Hold on, guys. I can put this. I can describe this in terms that he will understand.
okay.
Your ASI allows you to increase your strength by 2, which increases your damage by 1 because your strength modifier goes up by 1.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
When you increase your damage by the whole ass modifier, that's more than 1.
Yeah, that's significantly more than 1.
Crazy.
And being able to have resistance to all damage other than Psychic and Radiant when you're in dim light.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah,
I know
they're
you're
all
level
really
19, but still.
Yeah. But like so it's something that you would take. You would absolutely take. Yeah.
Yeah, you could never fucking present an ASI as being more valuable than one of those boons. If they're all of similar strength. Like, holy shit.
I don't think that was ever a comparison.
I sure hope not.
So I don't know, but yeah, I just like
Yeah.
it's definitely something that you would take.
Yeah.
Yes, you can trade 1d6 for 1d6 poison damage with that effect. Yep. What did this guy read before making this video? Well, he read the articles and stuff, and he's gone into what other people are saying as well. But I don't know if he knows the fact that you can still do your damage as well. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Very strange.
XP will rubber band to your party level if you're calculating it right with CR, excuse me. So the penalty shouldn't really get too bad, and if you use milestone, I guess the XP penalty wouldn't come up in the first place. True.
Yeah. You know, considering how popular Milestone is, it's strange that they haven't made an actual ruling on that.
No, they did.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
oh,
it's in the DMG. Yep.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Reminds me of how the old monk used to have to spend their key points to do the same stuff that the rogue could do for free. The concept is cool and the implementation is easy enough to understand, but again, I just think we could have seen a damage boost to compensate, or see this feature as a standalone feature that doesn't require us sacrificing our damage output. Then at 14th level, we get more options to use with our cunning strikes that cost even more of our damage. Daze costs 2d6 and forces the target to take only a move, action, or bonus action on their following turn against a Constitution saving throw. Obscure costs 3d6 and blinds a target until the end of their next turn against a dexterity saving throw, and not—
Which is so good, by the way. Like, if they have shit dex, you utilize it to make it so that they have to do a dex or be blinded when most things are wisdom or constitution. Like, that's so good instead.
Yeah, goddamn. And I mean, I'm in a party. Other people are going to be doing damage just fine.
It's so weird to, like, like, immediately you understand. All of us understand that this is all for the benefit of all of us in the party.
This is fun.
You know?
I love that.
It's
oh my
so
God.
cool. Like,
I want to play a rogue.
Yeah, right? The rogues sound fucking great.
That sounds so fun. I want to be a Skaven.
Yeah. Just remember, guys, this new rogue is garbage, right?
Yeah, it's really bad.
It's
Christ.
apparently on the bottom.
One of the worst.
It's so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
6d6 to render a target unconscious for a minute against a Constitution saving throw. These are some powerful effects, especially the knockout option, but at this point, we'd be trading pretty much all of our damage for this when other classes have access to spells and abilities that do more damage with similar added effects. Level 15 gives
similar,
us a
but
slight
not the
boost from
same.
the old version of Rogue for proficiency in Wisdom and Charisma saving throws instead of just Wisdom.
All
and
rogue
level
party?
18 will
Yes.
give us the same great
Yeah, dude.
elusive
It would be so
feature
sick.
that says attacks can't have advantage against you unless you're incapacitated. And then our capstone at level 20 allows us to turn any fail on a d20 roll into a 20 once per short rest. This is a lot better than the old version of the capstone, but the relative strength of the rogue at this point pales in comparison to many of the other classes. The rogue's position in the D&D lineup has always been that of the skill specialist, and I think it does a great job of that here, so I'm not sure we're looking at something as troubling as what the Ranger might be. And it does seem like the 2024 PHB will give us a more balanced version of the game, but I do feel
Yeah, it's almost like they're making it so that everything kind of works together. So that, you know, it won't feel like you're doing shit damage. It'll feel like you're doing an appropriate amount of damage. At least that's the hope.
Yeah.
Right? Like, again, they could fuck it up. Don't get me wrong. It's WoTC. They could fuck it all up real easy, okay? I will never say that there is not a chance of that.
No, there's always a chance.
These days, especially, I'll say that there is a big chance that sometimes they'll fuck everything up. But these changes seem good. They seem like they're needed. They seem like they will work. Excuse me. They will work for what they're going for here. At least from what I can tell, from what I can see, and what I want from this now, is the ability for everything to feel a lot more cooperative. A lot more cooperative. Yeah, and that's
it's great.
That is something that I'm like, oh yeah, that's sick as fuck. Because we can now just do not even need to have like had things in character or whatever to talk about how we're doing something to benefit each other. We now have mechanical things that are in there inherently to benefit each other. It's crazy good.
Alejo, jumping off what you said about never doubting the ability of WoTC to fuck it up.
Yeah.
This just in, like, registering registering for D&D D&D Beyond rather.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm forgetting everything tonight.
That's all good.
Registering for D&D Beyond, you have to give them your address and also when you will meet up for sessions. And whenever you have a session, there will be a Pinkerton standing in the corner of the room just watching.
Yeah.
Just to make sure everything goes smoothly.
Everything's above board, yeah.
Yeah, just to make sure everything stays legal.
Yeah. Duh.
Obviously.
Honestly, if you have cheating players, that might be kind of nice.
Yeah, why do you have problems with it? You're not breaking the law, are you?
Yeah.
You're not breaking our law, are you, comrade?
You don't have if you don't have anything to hide.
Yeah. Hey, do you have a Barnes and Noble receipt for that 5e Player's Handbook?
Yeah.
You better not have fucking gotten that lended to you, I swear to God.
Is that a PDF I see? Cock shotgun.
Oh, God.
WoTC will find a way.
Oh, yeah.
That'll be great.
I guess the paladin buff is actually a nerf for some reason. Yeah, apparently, I mean, I don't know. At this point, he seemed like it felt like he retracted it, but I have no fucking clue at this point.
Yeah.
Even with an all rogue party, each rogue would still probably focus on certain skills, so there's still teamwork there. Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
The thing. Each subclass, has their own specialized stuff, so there's a lot of diversity, man.
I'm the lockpicking rogue. He's the shanking rogue.
Exactly.
He's the stealing rogue.
Yeah.
And he's the magic rogue.
Yeah. It's a whole thing.
And also, Now I desperately want to play a campaign where we're all playing as Skaven Gutter Runners and Night Runners, and we're taking over Kavzar, which is like the birthplace of the Skaven, and what turned into Skaven Blight.
Hell
Holy
yeah.
shit!
It would be super.
That
fun.
would be so fucking cool.
For sure.
Or the name of the city?
Kavzar.
Huh? I did not. I thought it was just an unnamed city.
Nope, it's there's actually a Skaven quote unquote poem called The Doom of Kavzar, and that's details the origin of the Skaven, because Kavzar is what it used to be. Kavzar, it is now Skaven Blight.
Yeah. Makes sense. No, I know about the city and how they're building the high tower and the guy who is like, oh, I can have that done for you in a day.
Yeah, and then he fucking finishes it, and he puts the Great Horn Rat's bell up there, and then the Skaven start showing up.
That's right. It was the bell. Yeah. I remember.
I always thought that the name of the city was supposed to be lost to history.
Yeah. It is now.
We're staring at another decade of certain classes and features that don't live up to the hype of what this new edition is supposed to be. At the end of the day, someone has to take the mantle of worst class in D&D.
Put stock in hype a lot
who
of
do
the
you
time.
think that is? Let me know down in the comments, and make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one that covers the all-new subclasses WoTC has revealed thus far. Now, until next time, go out there and make some chaos.
When is 5.5 supposed to release?
On the 17th. On the 17th. That's when the books are supposed to come out. Yeah.
Oh shit! So 3 days.
3 days. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I don't know. Well, yeah. I don't. That's what I found when I searched it actually not too long ago. So I don't know if that's going to be physical or digital or what. I have no idea.
Or what?
Or what?
Sorry.
But yeah, so
Good, you better apologize.
Yeah, no, I was. Yeah, I always apologize for those ones.
But yeah, the video itself wasn't like terrible. That's fine.
Yeah,
you know?
Just kind of a massive fucking oversight.
I think that there's a couple of things in there that's like you're going with this crowd that seems to not be about what these changes are, which again, like that's fine. You know, people are resistant to change a lot of the time, right? But at the same time, when you actually take a second to step back and look at what's going on, you can see what they're trying to do. At least, again, I'm not saying that I know for a fact this is what they're trying to do, but it does really feel that way, of all of this stuff being more focused on setting things up, of having everybody have, you know, their ways that they can help each other. Like, it really does feel like something like that. The Ranger is going to be absolutely, probably, like, technically the worst class, quote unquote, right? Because it is a weird amalgam of many things that, you know, never really found its stride, but is kind of there. And the Paladin is still going to be really good. Like, I don't know why it would be the worst. It's just got really technically nerfed, but it's still really good. The Rogue is good. It's way better now. Like, I don't...
Yeah. I think an issue that's coming about with these you know, reveals and reviews of like what's being released and what's being updated is the fact that we're all looking at all of it through the lens of what it used to be in 5e.
Exactly.
And I think that that's the wrong way to look at it. Even though it is an update to an existing game, I think you need to look at these things all on their own, because
I agree.
You're always going to be comparing it to something else. And if you preferred the old version, well, of course you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
But looking at these in a vacuum, these are fucking great. Obviously not the Ranger. Ranger's still kind of bad, but
it's better.
it is better, but you know,
like
zero plus one is still just one.
But like the problem is that I can see and that I can understand is that this is that upgrade to 5. It is based on 5, so you do have that comparison that you have to kind of use, you know?
That's
because
true.
it is supposed to be, as they've said many a time, that it will work with old adventures and stuff, and it'll work with a lot of old supplements that they had, But now it's just, this is the core that you have to now look at. So you do have to still have that lens. Just
That's
because
fair.
of everything that this has been built upon.
Yeah.
And kind of finding out what they've done to change it. But at the same time, I am with you in the sense of, yeah, you do also need to look at it in this way of it being kind of in a vacuum, because it's different enough to stand on its own to a degree. In the sense of what they've changed so far with these classes, because a lot of them, or many of them are very much the same, but that's always been the case of a lot of classes just kind of stay similar throughout each of these editions, right?
Yeah.
So it's just at the end of the day, you gotta step back. You've gotta not look at this in such a
Narrow.
I guess, yeah, narrow is a good word for it. A narrow mindset of, like, yes, it's what 5 was technically, but now it's different. But you gotta look at it as an improvement more so, or at least try to find that improvement, or find how this can be played, you know?
Yeah.
And again,
you gotta stop thinking about how this game will play. Yeah, I think that's a better way to do it. I think you don't look at these things as though they should play the same as the other ones did, because the changes are pretty big.
Yeah.
And the way they're changing combat and weapons is so radically improved and different from 5 that I feel like it, like you said, I think that this is going to stand fully on its own and is capable of doing so, because really, those weapon masteries, man.
They already changed so much just on their own.
They're so huge. Like, this gives me even more confidence to try out that old blowgun hunter or ranger that I wanted to try, because, imagine, like, you've got all these other effects that you can do on top of whatever else, because obviously if I'm a ranger, I want to do like survival and like looking for plants and shit. I would love to have this kind of like elemental blow dart weapon, and then also have a mastery attached to it.
Exactly.
In some way. I don't know what the fuck it would be.
Right.
But
we kind of look at all of what they've got and kind of figure out if something exists or if we need to create something.
Yeah, either that, or it would be as simple as if you're a ranger and you have a blowgun, you can like add an additional die to any elemental or status causing damage or something like that. Like, if you have a chance to cause paralysis, you'll do an additional, like, I don't know, 1d4 or something like that, something small.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's just, but yeah, no, it's something that really, like, it is different enough for it to be something that we got to kind of consider in 2 different ways. And again, I get that people are used to the simplicity. I get that people are used to the overpoweredness of some things. I get all this kind of stuff, but I guess most of the people who started with 5e never went through an edition change. So it's new to them what's going on, I guess.
Yeah.
So I get, it's understandable that they're doing so much pushback to it.
And I wonder if we are like the perfect target audience for 5.5, because we've also branched into fucking wargaming.
Right.
So we're already very strategic people.
Well, yeah, I think anybody who's into tactics is going to be into this. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, just in general.
Minor pushback, Boo. I have not branched into wargaming.
You know what? Yeah, that's fair. You do love your tactical games. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I in fact have near negative interest in like playing Warhammer.
Even though you have played Warhammer one time.
Yeah, how else would I know that I didn't want to play it?
Fair enough.
But yeah,
but however, though, I will accept the caveat of I am a support player through and through.
Me too. I like supporting.
Same.
I'm a sniper.
Same.
Yeah, we're all supportful.
You give me a heal gun. Mwah.
Yep.
If you give me a sniper, I ain't going anywhere near it. That's why I'm a heavy bowgun main, baby. When I'm not playing Switch Axe.
Yeah. So it's definitely for more tactical
Although
players.
I really fucking hate the hunting horn. It's weird.
Let's see. A few things. Sneaky, picky, shanky, and sparkles. Sparkles is the magic one. Yes, true.
Hell yeah, dude.
This may be no surprise coming from me, but I would love to play an all-dragon party. That's fair, Timothy.
That would be cool. You're going around fighting like other monsters and shit. You know, you're fighting dragons. I mean, you could fight dragons, but you could fight like giants and shit. Maybe you're in the like giant and dragon war. That'd be fucking cool.
That'd be cool. Excuse me. From the sound of it, anyone got the short stick? If anyone got the short stick, it's Warlock. Okay.
Oh, really?
I don't know. Yeah, when we looked at the Warlock, I thought it was okay, but then again, you know, who knows? Because the newer stuff.
Yeah. For me, it's been so long that I don't remember any of it, basically.
Yeah, I don't remember much either.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I mean, hell, even when this comes out, we're probably not going to play it.
Not for a little bit, yeah.
Because we're just not
doing D&D stuff.
We just don't do D&D.
Yeah,
hell
yeah. Vampire pilled, brother.
Yeah, dude. We like fantasy. It's just not D&D.
Yeah.
Or if we do play D&D, it would be 4E.
So this one is at least something. So I don't know.
Yeah. Like I definitely like the weapon masteries. If we were to play D&D again, I would basically just take those, shove them into any other version that we play.
Yeah. The usual joke would be that Sparkles is the big muscle guy. True. Different doesn't always mean bad. That is true. Yep. Though if we went with that logic, the muscle guy would probably be tiny since it fits better with the other names. True.
Yep.
Never understood why people hate change so much. It's just nature. It's just human nature.
Yeah, it's human nature. Literally. We don't like change. We like things to stay the same. Until we don't.
You're all supports. Better get some hirelings, I guess. True.
Yeah, dude.
Okay. So
we're all supports, but we will begrudgingly play tank and DPS sometimes.
Absolutely.
Because we can't all be fucking support players in Monster Hunter. Someone has to fucking go and damage it.
Oh, fine. I guess I'll take the anime insect glaive.
Yeah, I guess I'll play hammer with the fucking million front flip slams.
I guess Rogan will do twin swords.
Yeah,
roll down the entire length of the monster every time.
Whatever. I mean, if you want.
If you want, I guess. Okay.
I can't. He can't force you.
Yeah.
So the other video that I have for this evening is completely different. A completely different topic. This one is GM tips and tricks should you require foraging in your game.
Okay.
It seems like this came from a channel that's more OSR-like, which is interesting. So it'll be interesting to kind of have this as a question because foraging is something that is you rarely see it in a lot of things. As I said before, when we were talking about it a while back, the background for Outlander in 5e literally makes it so that everybody in the forest gets food every day because that's it. 6 people, including yourself. Like,
not to mention
incredibly easy.
The other problem is that rations last so long and are so cheap.
Right.
So most of the time, if you have any amount of money, you just buy rations.
Right.
And you're good for like a fucking month or however long they last.
The
time when you're not okay is when you're in dungeons, because rations specifically spoil faster in dungeons.
Oh, is that true?
Yes.
It is true, yes.
Oh.
Caves and dungeons and shit, like humid, nasty areas, makes it spoil faster.
Oh, I didn't actually know
always
that.
found kind of lame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, not so much that the food is spoiling. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
I'm just like not okay with the fact that like, any dungeon spoils food.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't make as much sense for sure.
Yeah, it really doesn't. You know, you're in like an ancient wizard's tower and it's dry as fuck in there. Well, I guess my fucking rations are disintegrating due to fucking magical energies.
They're becoming sand.
God damn it. I gave myself a fucking reason.
But yeah,
Don't you hate it when you're trying to make something seem stupid and then you make it seem smart?
Yeah, no, I didn't actually know that about rations. That's interesting. I guess
Yeah, now
it
I
makes
don't remember
sense.
if that's in 5e
Right.
or if that's in older editions, but I'm pretty sure or maybe it was in 3.5. I don't remember. It's in the game somewhere.
It was an original up through 3.5, as I recall.
Okay, cool.
I think they got rid of it in 4e.
Probably.
Makes sense.
I
would bring it back because fuck you. Go in the dungeon. You have no food now.
Yeah, you're in there for 10 minutes and oh god, all of my food is gone.
Now I'm pretty sure what it does is like a ration lasts like 7 days. Was it, or is that iron?
7 days.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure it reduces it to 1 full day per thingy. So you still have plenty of time because it usually doesn't take a full day to go through a dungeon.
Yeah, exactly. What would you do with like the thing? Like there is literally the dungeon that is all of it is a dungeon, but it's like a city in a dungeon and everything. Like,
ooh,
you remember that? There's a specific module that is.
Is it Undermountain?
Maybe. There was also another one that was like this whole thing is just 1 to 20. It's a dungeon, but there's a settlement inside of it as well, and all this kind of stuff. I don't know.
I think that was Undermountain.
It might have been. It might have been.
It's called Dungeon Meshi.
There you go. Yeah.
Or the dungeon in is it wrong to try to pick up girls in the dungeon?
There you go.
I forget the name.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, circling back around a little bit, foraging also does imply like finding things like you were saying for your blow dart guy, materials, components, things to make something like a dart, like to tip a dart in some sort of poison or something like that.
Like a little bit of wood or mushrooms or like maybe some I don't know, like a spider eggs or something, something gross.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of whole aspect has kind of been
a local outcropping of sarin.
Oh!
Naturally occurring fucking sarin.
But no, so it's kind of fallen on the wayside a lot of the time, just due to mechanics and just the general kind of feel for it.
Sorry guys, I need to go into the fields over there. I need to harvest some ricin.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think it's interesting to have as a concept, to have it be there to utilize. It really depends on what you're wanting to do, because having your players go out into the wilderness to find a bunch of things is cool, in the sense of, you send them out to do something, and along the way they can get stuff in the forest as they're traveling, or they're going specifically to find a certain ingredient that's only found in this part of the world, or something. You can turn it into an adventure itself, right? And utilizing things like a la Monster Hunter, as was talked about before, utilizing parts of monsters to create weapons and stuff. I know supplements that people have made have started to adapt that kind of thing into them, but I'm just talking about, even if you're not using those things, just having it so that, going and getting the Displacer Beast skin, to turn into that Displacer Beast cloak, so that you can kind of have that blur effect and all of that. Like, actually having them go out to get the things so that they can then make those things is a cool concept, and it really makes those things feel earned and have a lot more history behind them. Not just
because it's not just that you went in and bought it. It's
exactly.
Like, hey, this is my Displacer Beast cloak.
Yeah.
You fucking made that shit. This is my Displacer Beast cloak. Takes on a whole other lifetime or life to it.
Yeah, exactly. So like there's a really cool thing for it that I would super like to see a lot more. But I also understand, people not wanting to do something like that as well, of like, yeah, you can go out and do stuff, but you don't necessarily need to go get food or go get these materials and stuff. You can buy them and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's just an added level of depth that I don't think that you need to require. Obviously, it's something that you discuss with your table.
Yes.
So let's see.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review.
Yes, sorry, I forgot to say. This is Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. Let's see.
Okay.
Master Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, I'm going to do a little video here talking about some tips and tricks and a question that I am posing. Should you require foraging in your game? So, you know, I'm driving to the grocery store this morning, and you know, I started thinking about this. I was like, wow, we have a lot of different supplies that we need to pick up. After the holiday weekend, and we had relatives over and everything, they basically ate us out of house and home. And you know, and then previously we were tied up with COVID, so there wasn't much shopping going on then either. And we just needed some like really bare essentials. And it got me thinking. I was like, when an adventure party is going to do a wilderness travel, or a long dungeon crawl or whatnot, they need these various supplies. And you know, how do you handle that? Or maybe even how should you handle that? Or should you even bother with it? So that's where I'm going to go with this here. You can probably already tell that, you know, I'm leaning towards that you should, but let me kind of further build that out.
Please.
So perhaps it's just my perception, but I see a lot of game developers, you know, whether within the OSR and elsewhere as well, there's a push, I'm going to say, towards returning to the hex crawl. And hex crawling obviously requires a lot of travel, a lot of overland travel, and foraging is something that the player character party groups are going to have to consider. Right, the farther they're traveling, they have to look to see if we're in a deep wilderness. Where are we going to find water, find food, find shelter, find the materials we need to start a campfire and such? And I think that there are many different ways as a game master you can handle this.
Okay, so before we get too far in, so we have the perspective of OSR kind of stuff. We have the perspective of going towards hex crawling, which I forgot was even a thing. It's something that I've done in something like I don't know if this is a poll, but fuck, what is the game called? There's a game that I have that is basically hex crawling. Like every hex is its own, you know, thing, and you can do certain things on certain hexes, and like towns take up multiple hexes. So you go to this one section, there's, you know, these few buildings. There's one section over here that's these few buildings, all that kind of stuff. And is it called? Hold on, I need to. It's Neo something, right? Neo Scavenger is what it's called.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah,
I saw
okay.
the Seth video on it.
Okay, yeah. I played that game. I played that game quite a little bit. It's pretty fucked and pretty fun.
Please tell me you've seen the Seth video on it.
I probably did a while back. It's been a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's an older one. But
yeah.
Oh my god, it's so good. Anyway, continue.
So in that, you know, you do have to, like, if you go to the town, you can buy food and stuff, but if you're out in the wilderness, you do have to forage, and you can kill, you know, or you can try to kill squirrels and cook them on the campfire, because you need to get the wood and have a lighter and all that kind of stuff, right? It's that classic shit of actually needing to get every single thing that you might need, right? Or finding things that are alternatives to the things that you need so that they can be used. And that has an appeal to me. I do like that. But it is something that does, it's something that feels a little less like what we would do for something like a TTRPG, because what we do is really just kind of play out each situation, you know?
Mm-hmm.
We go moment to moment a lot of the time. And not to say that you can't do that with the hex crawl and stuff, but it feels a little different when you're... It feels like in that kind of instance, I would be going through a menu, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Rather than going moment to moment in character. And like, it would become kind of monotonous to me in a way if it was so in depth. Whereas I like it in something like Neo Scavenger.
Yeah.
In a TTRPG, I don't necessarily want to have to interact in that kind of way every single time, because it then would become more of a, yeah, let's see if we can find something here. I'll roll, and then, you know, after a certain amount of time, it'll just be I'll roll to find. If I find, good. If I don't find, we'll figure it out, I guess. And it loses that I don't know, something to me in that kind of needing to do it every single time we get to a new hex, I guess.
It loses its naturalness, I guess.
I guess
it
so.
becomes, because it's like, oh, new hex, time to do this.
Yeah, it kind of becomes
New
a checklist.
hex.
It kind of becomes a checklist, at least in my mind, right? Not having done it in a TTRPG, I don't know. Is that something that kind of is that something that's weird, or is that something that...
No, that doesn't sound weird to me, because it also, to me, it becomes, how do I put it? It becomes kind of a combination of video gamey and board gamey, if that makes sense, where you want to do a thing, but in order to actually do it, you have to do this, this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I want to go to this new town. Well, you kind of think of it like you're paying to do that. If you want to go to a new hex, you gotta pay the forage tax. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it just feels transactional and not really in a fun way. When I want to forage, that's when it feels good.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I want to search the area for stuff. I'm looking for a pelt. I want to make some money. You know, foraging, I feel, is better when it's a means to an end rather than a requirement.
At the same time, though, in something like a survival kind of campaign, I could see it being more fun. But that's less because you're going hex by hex. It's because you're traveling a distance.
Yeah.
And doing the thing. And I guess, so it's the thing, the hex crawl, I guess, is the thing that gets me stuck in this mindset, because...
Yeah, I think it might be that.
Yeah, I think of the hexes rather than I think of us going on a journey.
Yes.
You know?
Which, honestly, that's fair, because, you know, it's like having... hell, in our last vampire session, it's kind of like having a grid on a battle map that doesn't require a grid.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you know, you're kind of, you see a battle map and you see a grid and you're like, oh, okay, this is what we're going to be using. It's like, no, you don't actually need to use it. It's like, okay. You assume that.
Yeah.
And so just having the hexes there puts you in a state of mind.
Yeah. And like...
And also... Oh, sorry.
Well, go on. Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say what is it? In relation to the survival game, making it a bit more, less transactional. I want to keep using that word for whatever reason. I think another reason why it feels better in a survival game is because, one, there's a story element to it. You know, you're foraging to survive, and, you know, if you don't forage, you might die, and then the story ends, and, you know, it's just part of the journey. And also, if you're actively playing in a survival game, you've probably agreed to that, knowing that, like, okay, we're in a survival situation, we are going to need to forage. So,
Yeah.
You're less resistant to it being required because you've agreed to that.
Right.
And you're also willing to bet that if foraging is required and going to be happening a lot, it's probably not going to just be, you guys look around, you find berries.
Yeah.
It'll be like, oh man, in the middle of your foraging, you find like a pond that like, fish are jumping out of it and there's berry bushes nearby, but there's also a big bear near there who's hunting the fish. So what are you gonna do?
And like there's nothing to say that can't be the case in the TTRPG aspect, right? Of like, in this hex crawl, it could all play out exactly that way. And you would still have the buy-in because you agreed to play in the game, right? Assumedly, you've had some communication beforehand. But yeah, I don't know. I think it really is like you were saying, like with that grid being there, it makes my brain think of that kind of thing. And it really does kind of mess with me, even though I like resource management a lot. Like it's one of my it's really fun for me. In a lot of games.
I like the Resident Evil 4 briefcase.
Yes.
The attach case,
exactly,
baby.
the attache case for sure.
It's fucking legendary.
It is, and there's a reason why I bought the game called what is it? Save game or something, where it's literally just make everything fit in the attache case. That's literally the game, and it's fantastic. There's like 40 levels to it, and I did them all. It's great.
Nice.
Didn't take that long, but like, it was still worth my $5.
But it got that dopamine.
Exactly. So like, but yeah, I'm super into that. I like it, but I don't know, for this, it is just that whole mindset, I guess. So I assume that if I were to be in a game like this, I would go, oh yeah, let's do it, and it would be run better than my brain is thinking it is, of like, oh yeah, you go to the hex, you look for the thing. No, that's just weirdly assumptive of my brain.
But I mean, the hex crawl, at least to me, I doubt that it is, like we're saying here, where so for everybody listening, we've never played a hex crawl.
No.
Which, that's probably pretty clear at this point, but I'd like to state that.
Yeah.
When I think of a hex crawl, specifically because the entire world map is now a grid, it feels
it's different.
Like it would be slightly restrictive in certain ways, even though it probably isn't.
Right. Exactly.
It's really just being on a grid, because once you're on a grid, you're like, okay, this is 5 feet, this is 10 feet. Once you see that grid, you have expectations of what you can do on this grid. How far can I move? You can't move any further or than that. My spell cannot go any further than this. So it just feels more rigid.
Yeah. There's something about it.
Yeah, which is probably wrong.
Oh yeah. Like, I'm absolutely certain that like it wouldn't be like that at all, but that's just my gut feeling about it,
Yes.
So which I just have to overcome, I guess.
So we're honestly not the best at figuring out how foraging would work in a hex crawl because we've never played in a hex crawl, and it kind of fucks with our head a little bit.
But at the same time, just in general, foraging, like I find that as something that is, like we were saying before, it's something that could be like, if it's a means to an end, it's fun. If it's part of what you've agreed to for like survival, then it's fun. Like it's just how it's presented, I guess, is really how it is at the end of the day. I don't know.
Yeah.
Few things. His volume is very low, yes. I mean, losing all your food will give you a reason to buy more. True.
It's true. Yeah, absolutely.
What has Guy done lately? He's done a few things. I thought about doing a Guy video today, but I looked at it and then I watched a little bit of it and went, oh, no, this is fine. I like change. I don't like climate change, and Zinch is also too much. True.
I don't like change because I prefer full dollar bills.
Aha.
I prefer hundos.
Let's see. Yeah. Okay.
One way is that you just hand wave it, right? And you say, oh yeah, you just find whatever you're looking for, which I would not recommend. And I'll give the reasons why I like a much more fuller experience in foraging. So you could do that. You can roll on various random tables or whatever and say, all right, well, you find this, this, and this, and or you can have the player characters make skill checks that are either appropriate skills that they have. Maybe they have some background skills in things like hunting or even foraging, specifically foraging. And so you can have them just make those rolls, and if they're successful, they find whatever they're looking for. You can also role play it out, which I really do recommend.
Yeah, good.
It's a, that way it's not just you're making a whole bunch of dice rolls, you're looking at the result, and it's like, bang, you have what you're looking for, kind of thing. I think that there's the opportunities to create new situations that you as a game master weren't anticipating, and the players weren't anticipating either, right? They can go through and they're looking to go hunting, let's say, to get some deer or whatever, and they come across this, and then just you in your improvisation, you're going to say, well, you see a deer that has been slain, and there's a creature already harvesting it, and you've never.
It's literally your example you did before, Boo, of the pond with the fish and the bear.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah,
very good.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
I wonder how it used to be for hex crawls and stuff. I wonder if it was more just rolling it out, because like obviously there are exceptions to that if that was like how it was in certain systems. I don't know, because OSR stuff is very much something that I don't look a lot into, right? And a lot of the time, at least the general perception that I get for a lot of OSR stuff and a lot of what OSR people say is that you have to follow rules as written. A lot of the time, I don't know, it just feels like a lot of the time it's like, oh, this 5e doesn't have this, and this, so we have to do everything this way, because it's in these games, but I don't know, again, that's another perception that I have just because of the loud side of the OSR community.
Minority.
Yeah, so I don't know what the actual general kind of feeling is for it. I would love to know, and I would love to have a little bit more education on something like this, and how it would be done, like if you were to do it raw. So
I would assume that, given from a story that I've heard, it was more likely than not that people would do the role playing.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what I feel like.
So Z Bashu, he did a video explaining the origin of grognards.
Okay.
And basically, it goes all the way back to before wargaming turned into role-playing games.
Yep.
And I forget the name. It wasn't Chainmail. It was before that. It was a war game that was all like Napoleonic shit.
Oh yeah.
So, the people who started playing the Napoleonic stuff as a role-playing game, essentially they had their units, since it's a war game, they had their armies, they had their units, they would name their soldiers, they would, account for rations and stuff like that. But apparently, some of the players, they'd be playing effectively as generals leading their army. And they would physically write letters to one another.
That's awesome.
To communicate. So, as the general.
Yeah.
So, if they are willing to do that, even back then, there's no way that there wasn't at least some role-playing going on, even in the OSR days.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, just for something like that. I think it's absolutely safe to assume, for sure, that a majority was that way. It's one of those things, again, of just the very vocal minority that I wonder about,
Yeah, I think it's safe to assume that there's a good deal of role playing because, feeling that kind of a restriction might be interesting and fun for some people.
Yeah.
But I think more people would prefer to have that the freedom to, try to role play out stuff and see, what they can do
Exactly.
with their imagination. This video is so much easier to pay attention to than the other one.
Yes.
Like, goddamn. I was so distracted during that other video, I could not latch on to anything.
Something I've not heard mentioned that I think is very notable about foraging is that it forces your players to interact with your world. Like, oh, do you have a special event that you want to throw at your players? If you're having them like do foraging, you can like throw it in then. Maybe they encounter something while they're out searching for food.
Exactly.
Yeah. People often cite that like the exploration pillar, for like D&D and stuff isn't really done very well. A way to really introduce it a lot more is to have them have to interact with the world in this way, where they have to go out there, they have to figure out where they can find, the fresh water, where they can find their sources of food and all that. Like, it's tedious, don't get me wrong, sometimes, but it's something that you can utilize to get that immersion in there for the exploration.
I think sorry, I don't mean to.
No, you're good.
I'm just having this idea, and I'd like to throw it out there now that you've brought up the exploration pillar and all that shit. I think that a great way to do the exploration pillar and to encourage your players to interact with your world using foraging would be something like this. Let's say that somebody is going foraging, and they're not really all that far off from the group. Let's say they're in a forest, and they're looking around, and, they're walking through the big trees. I imagine that these are, like, really big, like, big, tall pines, like maybe fucking 10 feet around. They're huge. And they find a small pond, and it's being fed by a waterfall that's coming down from, like, maybe a 30-40 foot, like, cliff or something. Sure. And they see the pond. It's like, oh, okay, well, we found water. As you get closer to investigate it, you see that the water, even though it's flowing in from, that waterfall, it doesn't smell very good. And looking around, you see that there's like an animal carcass just lying in the river. So not the river, the pond. So this water probably not the best to drink. So what you could do is how can we get good water from near here? There's water, and there's not much point in looking somewhere else. Well, climb that cliff. So now your character might not have everything that he needs to go and climb that cliff. He has to go back to the group and be like, hey, I found water, but I need some climbing shit. Can somebody help me climb up this cliff? And then you climb up there, and then as a reward for climbing up that cliff to get the fresh, like, clean water, maybe you also find some berry bushes up there. So now you've got food and water. A very, very simple reward for just having the players be like, we need to climb that, let's climb it. And they actually figure out a way to get up there. Maybe they come up with a hilarious Rube Goldberg machine, which are always fun. I think that that's a really good way. I think putting shit high up or down below, if you're in a cave, it's like, oh, we need to forage. I see some mushrooms, but they're like way down in that crevasse down there. So I gotta climb down. Climbing, jumping, crossing a gap. Make them do that. It doesn't need to be deadly. Doesn't need to be dangerous at all. Right. But make them actually have to figure out how to cross this very, very simple, safe hazard. Safe hazard.
Quote unquote. Yeah.
Yeah.
I get what you're
saying. Piggybacking off of your point, Boo, with them finding the water that is dangerous. Alternatively, you give them a good use of purify food and water, and hey, look at that, you're causing the party to expend resources.
Yes, that too. I kind of forget about that spell.
Yeah, something that is difficult to do outside of having a shit ton of combat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
True.
And with the waterfall, you also have given them the option. They can choose to expend that resource.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
No,
that's even better.
Yeah.
Choice is bad when it makes my character a lame ass.
True.
Yes.
No, yeah,
Because
exactly.
I think giving them the option to do it is far better than saying, "Oh, this water is corrupted, so purify it."
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's many different things. I mean, obviously, if you put something in front of players, they will find a way. You know, like
Yeah.
there's never one way to do something when you put it in front of a player.
No,
There
you can come
are-
up with 100 ways to do something. They'll find the 101st.
Exactly. They will never go exactly the way you think all the time, for sure.
No.
So you never have to worry about that, at least, of giving them options. In that respect. Obviously, if you give them options in the rule book, they'll get really confused.
You could give them a featureless hallway with a door at the end of it, and they will sit down. The motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You can just put a locked door in front of them and they'll burn it down.
Hell yeah!
It wasn't locked, it was stuck.
Yeah.
You guys were just weak. Slash didn't roll well that whole time.
Yep.
Oh, so funny.
We let the fire roll for
Exactly, honestly. It was a way to go and you did it. Anyway. Is it just me or does this person look like Colin Robinson from What We Do in the Shadows? Yes, a little bit, yeah. Maybe you have to do the Oregon Trail hunting minigame whenever you forage.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
There you go. Do the hunting minigame, but put plants in it. You get yourself a field guide so you know what plants are edible. Maybe you have to check each plant against it. Yeah. I think that was a game, actually. That was an old, like, computer game where you had a field
Oregon
guide.
Trail?
Not just the Oregon
field guide,
Trail.
oh.
Not just the Oregon Trail, but also, like, when you would go and you would actually forage plants and you could, like, look against a thing. There's also,
Well, that's
fuck.
in the forest.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's also in the forest, and
Yep.
there was another game that had that kind of thing too. I can't remember, but yeah.
Yeah. I remember it most from the forest because every time I'm
Yes.
like, oh, I'm so used to Ark that I'm like, oh, hey, berries. No, I'm not. It's like, why the fuck am I sick? This is bullshit.
Seen this kind of creature before, and the creature notices you, you notice the creature, and now you're engaged with either trying to get the deer from the creature. Maybe you're ignoring it. You're trying to evade it because it's chasing after you or whatever, or you have a combat, and now you've created a situation during the act of foraging that the players are going to have to make choices with their characters, and it might also lead to role playing and a social interaction. Maybe they see another hunter, a human or a demi-human or whatever, that now they've encountered somebody else. Maybe they'll have a conversation. Maybe the person will be very wary of them and think that they're going to try to steal their kill. Or maybe they'll say, hey, they help you out or do whatever. But requiring the act of foraging, I think, does open itself up to many different opportunities for encounters, for role-playing, and for the players interacting with the environment that they're in. They're interacting with the world that they're in, more so than just dice rolls and
Very happy that the interacting with the world bait came up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's not wrong. But again, I understand why people wouldn't want to do foraging all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I think it comes down to essentially just how you feel in the moment. Because I mean, hell, we've had sessions where instead of describing your attack, Aiden was like, "I stabbed the guy."
Yeah,
exactly. And I mean, you were fucking feeling tired, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you want to forage, and you just want to forage.
Yeah.
And like you roll a die, and like, hell, with me, you could basically come out and say, I don't really want to have an encounter here. Can we just forage? And I'm like, you fucking got it.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the way that I think it should be. Is like, yeah, foraging is great and all, but there's the chance that if you want to play it out, there's a chance that something else could happen, / you could find something interesting, / whatever. But if at the end of the day you don't want to necessarily interact with that to that extent, then yeah, roll a survival check, like see what you can get that way.
And like we can, when we're running a game, you can read the room, you can read what people's general excitement and engagement levels. If it seems like they're not too excited or they're not very engaged, you can just have them do that and move on to the next interesting story beat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, Shin. I guess it depends on how much time you want to spend simulating the world versus getting to the story. Yeah. It's true. And like, if it was something like, if it was something that was built into everything of like, oh yeah, you're the whole point of the campaign is to go from point A to point B, and that's across the continent, right?
Yeah.
The whole
Lord of the Rings.
Exactly. Yeah, legitimately, yeah. While you're going, you have your food, supplies, and everything. Fucking Oregon Trail as well. Like, you have everything that you need. You can hit towns, you can buy things, but you can also go out and get food that way of foraging along the way.
Yeah. That would actually be super interesting to have a campaign where you're just traveling.
Yeah,
and
I
just
think
getting encounters and little quests along the way.
Exactly. I think it would be something that would be really fun to do.
Yeah. You would need to have a well-developed world.
Exactly.
With a lot of interesting shit in it.
Yeah. So
it's like free rent. Oh, don't make me so sad. I want season 2 so bad.
So it becomes a day-to-day thing where every day something could happen / it could just be something mundane of just walking across the road that you need to and all that. So it's a very interesting thing, a very interesting concept, and foraging is very much something that can, as he's stated, open up a lot of possibilities if you really want it to. It's great.
Something I just thought of that would be really specifically because you said walk across the road.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be really funny if you're in like an area that's like, I don't know, maybe, you're like on a main road from like the capital city to like the surrounding towns and cities. It'd be really fucking weird and interesting and funny if along that road, maybe once every couple miles, on the sides of the roads, there are like intentionally planted berry bushes. And maybe like a well. That they just, it's like, well, we've got a lot of travelers and sometimes they need some food. Sometimes they need to like feed their horses or whatever if they're riding horses or on a wagon, or maybe maybe they get robbed, maybe they like have their food stolen or something like that. Why don't we just plant some bushes out there? And they can we don't even really need to maintain them because it's not like we're trying to harvest them for, like profit.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of interesting that like if a city just did that. Like a nation.
But then the people that sell food, the people that sell food in the city will lose customers to people who can just walk outside of the city and get free food.
Well, so that's literal miles away.
Capitalism will drive them to destroy the food stores.
That's very true. That's exactly why they got their food stolen, dude.
Who do you think stole their food?
Think!
Oh my God. Think, Your Highness, think!
Exactly. Exactly what I was going for.
When there's nothing but berry bushes on the road.
What's another 18 berry bushes?
Yeah! God damn it. I'll just plant another bush! God damn it. I've never even seen that show. I'm not a fan of it because I don't like the hyper dark shit.
Sure. I've not
It's
seen
pretty
it, but
decent.
I've only seen the memes, and the memes are great.
Yeah, no, the memes are really good.
Oh, fuck.
Oh my god.
Results, but they're actually making decisions about their actions, and then they might be pursuing new lines of investigation that they wouldn't have if you just hand waved the fact that they're finding water and finding food and whatnot. The other component that I think is important to include in here is you want to set in the minds of the players for their characters that if they run out of water, that's a new hazard that they're going to face, or run out of food, or run out of materials for campfires, or whatnot, that they have to now start worrying about finding these things, and it adds an element of an element of urgency and pacing. I think it will encourage the players to kind of pick up the pace if they're, lollygagging about. And so I just like the fact that it does increase that level of urgency in order to keep the action going, to keep what their intent is. Whether it's to travel from point A to point B. Well, let's not dilly-dally. Let's get it done as quickly as possible, because we only have 3 days of travel rations, and this is a 5-day trip, and at some point we're going to have to forage and find a source of food and water and shelter along the way. There's other components to this as well. You don't only have to require foraging in, forests and natural wildernesses, right? You can require foraging if they're in a natural cave complex. And what are some of the things that
I
they're
was
going
so
to
hoping
find?
he was going to say a city, because I would love it if you had to forage in a city and you're like dumpster diving for like.
Honestly.
So,
That would be-
It puts a pie out on the window, and you go, "Ooh."
Yeah.
Ooh, lovely pie cooling, hey?
Yeah, dude, that'd be super good. You got to drink out of like the fountain that people are flicking coins into. Like, this water tastes a little bit sharp,
It's
but
a little...
a little bit, a little tangy.
Ooh, dang, guys, we found water and money.
Yo, it's a little so that's why they call it mineral water. Am I right?
There it is.
That would be very funny though, like, because I imagine it even more so in like a contemporary game. Like, I know you don't need to do it, but like in Call of Cthulhu, you need to fucking forage in a city, and you're fucking diving into trash cans and pulling out fucking Burger King and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, 100%. Like, honestly, having that be an aspect is totally something that I would love to see.
Yeah, like, imagine you're playing as, how most games, actually, I don't know how many games do it, but I always try to start you guys off poor as fuck, because that way you actually have to work for money, and when you have money, it's more satisfying, because like, hey, we earned this. Be interesting to play in a game where you're basically homeless and destitute, and the foraging is essentially like going after like rats and squirrels and shit to actually get some food. That'd be weird. Be interesting.
Yeah,
of course, as soon as you pickpocket somebody, you've got food for a week, because fuck the D&D economy.
Yeah, well, yeah, true. For more than a week, man.
That's why you throw crippling drug allergies, Jesus, addictions.
Yep.
God, I'm so allergic to this heroin.
Fentanyl makes me break out in hives.
Yeah. What a shame.
But yeah. What is it? Sorry about the volume of this guy before, everybody. I turned it up with this extension now, so hopefully you'll hear him a bit better. I didn't think about it until right then. But anyway, Yeah, I mean, ultimately, all that I'm gathering from this is like it's good for getting ideas and such and conversation about. Mostly it's just like foraging, cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
foraging good.
let's do foraging sometimes. Again, the requiring it, I don't. I guess it's just the more the role play aspect than the rolling for it only aspect is what I'm kind of gathering more. So is not. It's not just the only make them forage, you know, like you have to make them actually forage for things. It's more just the have them play it out because then you can add a bit more spice to it that way. So, which I'm like, yeah, I mean, if you do anything that way, yeah, true.
The cave complex, like what happens if they, there's usually water in caves, but what if there's no real food supply? Like, what are they going to use for food, in that kind of a situation? Maybe they get trapped inside a natural cave feature, and they're a day in. It's like almost like Journey to the Center of the Earth kind of thing. Are they going to have to kill small spiders or scorpions or centipedes or bats or whatever and start eating those things, all right, in order to survive? And you could do the same thing if they're in, let's say, a mega dungeon and they're trapped in this mega dungeon. Where are they going to find food and water sources? Perhaps they'll have to, let's say they're in a massive, a massive goblin lair. All right, they might have to drink and eat what goblins left behind. All right, and that might be some pretty awful stuff, but it's required sustenance. So I think it's really important to require that your player characters in your group are foraging for things when necessary, when they're not immediately in the vicinity of a village or a town or even a city. I think it gives and breathes life into the world. It makes them feel like they're a part of something much bigger than themselves, and it creates the necessity for food and water and shelter and and temperature control in extreme weather conditions and such. It creates.
I think something to really take as a bigger kind of whole from this as well is just the 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 ability to make it so that your world feels like it is a living, breathing world is kind of very important. To bring that immersion and everything for your players. It's something that's you can do in multiple different ways, and this is just another aspect that you can really utilize if you want to. Because you then have like the ecosystem that you now have to think about of like, oh, what lives here that they could hunt, that they could eat, what's if they need to find water and stuff, well, how is my actual like geography here? Because if there is a fresh water supply, where would it come from? How would it be here? Or if there's any sort of water supply whatsoever. Like it really, foraging itself can be another gateway question of like, how would I have them forage, to then go, what will I have them forage? How does that stuff subsist? All this kind of stuff that then branches out into creating a big world that you have that does sort of function on paper,
And oh, sorry.
No, you're good. Go on.
I was gonna say, it's not really related to that, but in addition to it, I just kind of remembered something that might be interesting to people, is the fact that going back to my example with the little pond, you've now established that location.
Yeah, true.
When you forage, and you don't just say, oh yeah, you forage. and you find shit. If you find something of note, that's now in the world. So if they particularly like that spot, they might wind up camping there or, making a little base there if they want. So that's another thing that to keep in mind is that when you do that, when you just kind of come up with that shit, if there's enough interest in it or if they just happen to remember it, like maybe, you go from point A to point B and then you need to go from point B back to point A.
Yeah.
They can be like, hey, we found that place before. Let's stop there for the night.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
So you need to remember and also try to benefit from the fact that when you have that kind of stuff happen, you've now established an entire location or an entire a character or a monster or whatever.
Yeah, it all contributes.
Yeah, because I genuinely kind of forgot about that when I was saying that, when I'm like, you're foraging, you find stuff, and then for whatever reason, that area just kind of vanished out of my mind. Because it is just that kind of location where, we got some food, we got some water, there's nothing happening here, let's continue on.
Exactly.
It kind of feels like a worthless location in that moment, but you need to remember that that has now been established and you can continue to build off of that, because if there's a water supply, there's a good chance that other people have probably lived there in the past if they don't still live there currently. So you can also build naturally out of that.
Another thing that it can do is give you the ability to be tracked.
Yes.
You've established these places where, I mean, like, depending on your game, obviously, but, like, well, honestly, in any game, you could be being tracked by somebody. And if they're doing certain things in these locations, I mean, it gives them more importance because they were there. They've left traces that they were there, You can now build off the fact that, oh, yeah, you guys all camped here, and you basically just left it as it was. You took up your shit and then just kind of went on. And then, once they get the inkling that maybe they are being tracked by somebody, then they can start, like, trying to cover their tracks every time they get to something. And then you can kind of have them interact with these places that you then establish more so of like, oh, okay, so we come across, let's say, the pond again. And, we set up camp and everything, and okay, how do we take what we have here and utilize it to make it look like it's natural? Like, what can we do with this water? What can we do with these dead animals? Like, what can we do with the berries and stuff that we found? The rocks maybe from the cliff? Like, is there anything that we can do to kind of cover up that we were here? And then obviously you can have them roll things out if you want to and get bonuses from utilizing the actual environment that you describe and everything, Like, there's so much to do with these kinds of places, and just because they are, a little pit stop, doesn't mean that they can't be, like you said, utilized for something more than that later on as well. Like, coming back, oh, somebody else is now sitting here drinking from this water that's up on the on the cliffside, because they were like, oh fuck, that water down there is not great. Or
I mean, hell, that could be a thing where it's like they go there the first time and there's somebody there who's like scratching his head and being like, well, shit, I can't climb that.
Yeah.
And they come up, he's like, hey, what's going on? And then he explains the situation.
Yeah, and then, like, maybe
they'll even earn a couple gold pieces for bringing him down some water.
Yeah, and, like, maybe, they tell him, hey, when you go back to the town that's nearby, tell somebody that this water's tainted, and maybe they can come in and do something about it, and then you can establish a freshwater source that's going to be used in the future by other people, Like, there's a whole thing that you could then affect the world and make it so that you've carved a little piece into its history now.
And now, if we'll keep going, if you're being tracked, and now that you have told people about this location, this is now a location that along this trail is known. So who's to say the people who are tracking you don't leave an ambush? Someone, you go to get the water, and they're up on that little cliff, and they shoot a big fucking arrow at you, and then now you've got a whole other problem.
Exactly.
What if they poison the water?
Yeah. Or the more likely one is they are a ranger, a Beastmaster ranger, and they're up on the cliff, and they've got an alligator waiting in that pond. That's their companion animal, dude.
You know, Boo, at first I heard you incorrectly. I didn't hear alligator, I heard owlgator, and I was like, yo!
Holy shit!
Yeah, there you go. Hell yeah.
Somebody do that. Dude, could you imagine? Oh, okay, so it's not an alligator is not a aquatic or amphibious thing.
Mhm.
It's a flying one.
Mm.
So it flies, and it doesn't have the forelegs. It's got the wings, obviously, and it's got the owl beak. And you know how owls can turn their head 360?
Yep.
Well, it does
death rolls,
an aerial reverse death roll.
Yep.
Yo.
Okay, well, we've created another creature here, boys.
We've made another animal.
Dude,
So now we need an alligator and our dragon. I don't remember
That's
the other
right.
one.
Yes.
That sounds like a fighting game move. Aerial reverse death roll.
Yes.
Yeah, dude, because like the body spins one way, and then once it gets the centrifugal force, then it twists its neck to like rip a big chunk of you out.
Hell yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And of course it's got the big fucking owl talons and shit, so
Alligator? Yoink.
yeah, goddamn that. Well, thank you for not hearing me correctly, Aiden.
Yeah,
That's very
yeah,
good.
really.
I try to do it often.
Yes. See, now I thought you were going to be like, I don't think I heard you correctly because I think you said in the more likely scenario there's a ranger. I thought that's what you were going to do.
I actually thought you were going to go that way too.
Thanks for being unpredictable, you bastard.
Yeah, you're welcome. Out of pocket shit is my specialty.
There you go.
Yep.
Creates that sense of urgency and that that hazard if they don't have access to those things. So yeah, it was just something that struck my mind, and you know, as I see more and more systems really starting to you know, make a return, I will argue, to things like hex crawls and such. I think it's something that we need to, you know, get back to and remember. I remember back when I first started playing, I mean, we had to have all of those adventure gear things. I mean, you would never go adventuring without the 10-foot pole and the, you know, oil flasks and holy water and iron spikes and caltrops and you know, 50 feet of rope and a grappling hook, and you wanted to have all of this stuff, and then your travel rations and everything was so detailed as to what we felt was required to even consider going on an adventure. All right, and I don't recall, like when we first started and we were, you know, 11, 12 years old, whether we were doing the whole foraging thing, but once we got a hold of, once we were in AD&D first edition, yes, then absolutely, because especially with the wilderness guide and the Dungeoneer's guides, those were certainly front and center secondary skills that your characters could have, and we definitely used them at that point there. So so I think it's important. I think that you should require foraging in your game. Obviously that's just my opinion, and you're welcome to accept it or, you know, or reject it as you will, but I'd love to hear what you think about it. So please remember to jump in the comments there and say, hey, give me some ideas of some systems that really do it very well. I see a lot of systems do it, but I've never seen any that really stood out like, wow, this is the best one I've ever seen kind of thing.
I honestly don't know of systems that do it much.
Yeah.
You know? I guess he might be referring to OSR stuff, to be fair.
Yeah, might be.
Because that
New
seems
systems?
to be the community. But yeah, newer stuff is a lot more just streamlining it. usually.
Yeah, and with me, I'm not usually playing or interested in games that have that be much of a thing because I'm into Call of Cthulhu, where there's like fast food and diners and shit like that. In the grocery stores too. There's Cyberpunk, where you can go get like a cyberburger. A cyberburger. I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm gonna call it that. Yeah, you can get a cyberburger. And then there's also 7th Sea, which that foraging and that would essentially just be getting fish, because you're on a fucking pirate ship.
Yeah, I guess it's not dedicated rules that I've seen, but you could obviously like just do it, in most everything. So I don't know. It's an interesting thought because I've never wanted it for anything that wasn't that wasn't purposeful, like you were talking about before.
I wonder if there are many foraging rules in Wild Sea.
Maybe. I don't know. I need to read through that book.
That might be worth looking at, just to see, because
Yeah, the
you can't exactly fish. You would have to descend down into the trees.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see what they do. But yeah, I don't know. It's not something that, like I said, it's not something that I would do without purpose, really, and unless I was in a game that was for that purpose.
Yeah.
So
we cast our lines and got a bounteous net of monkeyfish.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Are they at all similar to rock baboons?
So if you have some recommendations for systems that just handle foraging better than any others, then please feel free to put that in the comment section. I look forward to reading it and looking into it. And as always, I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen or at a gaming table sometime soon. Thanks for joining. Remember to like and subscribe and to comment and to share. Do all of those things there. Really helps the channel grow, and the more growth just means the more reaching out that the channel will get. And the more people that'll come in here and give me suggestions and comments and things like that of things that I can look at and things that they would like to see. So as always, have a great rest of your day and take care.
My day's already fucking over. How insensitive.
Now your new day, idiot.
Oh, it's Conan up there. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know that person.
Unscripted and Unchained RPG review. I think that was a pretty okay video.
Yeah, that was pretty alright. The only issue that I had with it was just the volume.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to remember to bring my volume all the way back down.
I've got to change my extension now to 0. There we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, honestly, it's a bunch of good things that come from that really get your brain turning, right?
Yes.
But ultimately it's just a matter of preference at the end of the day, and I entirely understand why his preference is making it so that you should, but he's also not telling you that you need to. He's just saying this is something that I think you should do.
He's saying I'm not your boss.
Exactly.
He's not your boss or your father.
That's right. And yeah, honestly, it's just a good little video. So yeah. Hopefully
it's also nice to have it be like a dude sitting not in front of a green screen and not with cutting and editing and shit. It's kind of nice to just sit there and listen to a dude talk. I don't know why.
Yeah, it was kind of refreshing, honestly.
Right? To just have something bare bones, but also still very useful and like good information and good idea potential.
It was just nice.
So a big thing for me is the mise-en-scène of videos like these. And my eyes like kept going back to the old ass printer he has.
I didn't notice it. Fuck.
I wasn't looking at that.
It was like the one it looked like a printer you would find in any home office.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But just like how jarringly out of place it seemed compared to the.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That printer. That is not nerd cred.
Like we've got a fucking sword,
Yeah.
right? On
Yeah.
like, the regular ass, boring ass beige wall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for
dude.
sure.
And the printer.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
Something tells me that printer was a compromise.
Either that or it's what he uses to print out handouts.
Yeah, and his sheets and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. All right, we did it.
Yeah.
We did it.
That was a
everybody.
very peaceful video to end on.
It really was. Yeah, I feel like I as it was happening, I was like, "Oh, this is nice." And now at this moment, I'm sleepy as fuck.
Yeah, right? In like a good way.
In like a good way. Yeah, I'm ready to go to bed. Thanks. Thank you, sir.
I can't go to bed yet. I gotta eat, I gotta take a shower, and I gotta watch the absolute garbage that is My Hero Academia season, whatever the fuck.
God, why?
Because it's I fully admit it's the sunk cost fallacy, but I'm also so interested to see how shit it gets. And my god, it gets shit.
You know, one of my favorite things about My Hero Academia after the ending got published.
Yeah, oh my god, yeah.
When people were memeing on it, they renamed Deku's quirk to All for What.
My god.
Very good. Very good.
Absolutely fantastic. So, Alejo, do you know what happens or no?
I haven't. I only heard that it was bad, and I don't care. I never
so
started it. I never cared, so I don't give a fuck.
That is fine. So basically, Deku essentially saves the entire fucking world, and then he has this crush on a girl named Ochako, and so he saves the world. Nobody knows he did it. Oh no! I'm pretty sure everybody does know. Yeah, no, people.
The public as a whole does not know, but his friends know. But his friends don't tell the public.
Yeah. So effectively, he saves the world. No one knows he did it. He does not get with the girl, and he goes to get a 9-to-5.
Yeah, at a McDonald's.
Oh,
yeah.
What?
Also, the entire series starts off with episode 1. Deku says, "This is the story about how I became the world's greatest hero." And then in the last episode, Deku loses his powers. And his friends come together to build him basically an Iron Man suit that kinda sorta helps him to have the powers that he had before, kind of.
Okay.
But it goes from starting off with, "Oh yeah, this is Green Batman," to, "Wow, this is a shittier version of the superhero that I liked." His friends have forgotten about it. The girl that he had a crush on gets with his high school bully.
Of fucking course. So he gets cucked too? Oh my god, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like I get wanting to subvert expectations, but man, that's not satisfying.
Yeah. My expectations were real subverted when I expected a satisfying ending.
Exactly. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Okay. Well, you know.
It literally, I've heard of character assassinations, but holy fuck.
Yeah. I get you.
What the fuck?
Picturing Deku as a field. That field has been burned and salted.
Damn. Yeah. Fair.
Jesus Christ.
It's really bad. So I'm at this point I'm watching it because to me it's hilarious. Thankfully I've got My Hero Academia, which is absolute gutter shit, and then I've got Slime Reincarnation, which is fantastic. Love that show, and it's still very good.
I am just waiting a couple years for the fanfics of the ending to be released.
That would be nice.
Ugh.
Where it's actually satisfying.
Yeah, well, you know.
Yeah.
As
Oh, well.
it is, I'm probably going to duck out my
I was gonna
lads.
say, yeah, it
Yep.
is the time for you to duck out if you wish.
Oh,
I
yes,
honestly,
it is.
I'm probably
bye,
gonna
everyone.
Wait, Aiden, wait.
Oh.
There's one thing before you leave. There is an anime that you should watch called Windbreaker. Yes, I'm serious.
Windbreaker.
It's only one season right now. It's really, really cool and good.
Windbreaker anime. What's it about?
It is about a group. It's like a delinquent anime where there's this town that is basically overrun with like really violent delinquents, and one of them chooses to become the guardians of the town.
Okay.
And so there's a guy who winds up joining them because he wants to be the leader because they're all fucking strong and cool. But he learned, it's kind of hard to describe, but it's really, really good, actually.
Man, I'm looking at that, who I assume is the main character because he's got main character hands.
Yes, yeah, that's him.
That's just Deku.
So, not quite, but I can see where you're coming from because he's a really interesting character because he is a tsundere who actually earns it, which is very interesting.
Intriguing.
Yeah. Because
I can promise you I will check out episode 1.
Yeah, that's fine.
But this does not, from what you have described, it's not really grabbing me.
That's fair. Yeah, if you give one episode a shot, then that's all I can really ask for.
Yeah, I will give you episode 1.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
But I personally really liked it, and also the fight choreography is really good.
No, I do go for good fight choreography.
Like, it's surprisingly good.
Okay.
There's also lots of different fighting styles in there, which that's also really fun.
Intriguing. Okay. Yeah. I will. I'm coming around.
Okay.
Instead of episode 1, he's now got episode 1 and 2.
Yeah. You. I will promise you. I will watch the entirety of episode 1, and I will start watching episode 2.
There it is.
Okay. Yeah, they have kind of like a little mini tournament arc in there where it's two delinquent schools fighting each other, and that shit's really good.
We are back to episode 1.
Well, but yeah, I really like the main character because essentially, his hair is actually acknowledged.
Oh,
and
okay.
It's like, hey, your hair is fucking weird. What the fuck is wrong with you? And so because of that, he was ostracized and bullied, and everybody made fun of him. And because of that, his trust is completely shattered. That's why he's a tsundere. He does not want to trust anybody because he's been hurt so much. So I really like that he actually has a reason to be.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
It's a decent reason to be a tsundere, and I'm so happy that it's not just, oh, he's one for no reason. So, okay. I really like it. I enjoyed the whole thing. Give it a watch and let me know what you think, because it's very good. Anyway, that's it.
All right, I will do so.
Okay.
Have a good one, gents.
All right.
Yes.
Goodbye.
Have fun with the ending spiel, unless you just go to sleep.
Yeah, I'm gonna do my ending spiel and go to sleep.
Okay, goodbye.
All right.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. All right, everybody. It's me. Hello. It's just me. Look, it's just me. Yeah. I am actually very tired at this point. I'm ready to go to bed. So, I'm gonna do the thing. I'm gonna do the ending spiel thing. We'll read comments next time. I promise you. And then, we'll get them all set at that point. But anyway, excuse me. As you can actually hear, I am yawning at the same time because I'm not even kidding. That video did actually put me to sleep, but like in a good way. I'm like relaxed and ready to go to bed. So, hey, I talked about this in the beginning, but if you want to donate to us, you can go over to Patreon or Ko-fi and give us a couple of dollary dues if you wish, and get access to all of the stuff that's been in progress, sorry, the editing streams and the finished stuff, audio only and regular stuff for the shows, not the shows, the actual play, for Vampire and stuff. Little as $1 a month, up to you if you want to. But yeah, this is a big thank you to Draco Kraken, Rick aka Unirico, and Steely for giving us the muns every month. Appreciate it. A thank you to Crimson Rose as well at tier 2. And thank you to our tier 1 contributors. Appreciate you all. Thank you for continuing to support us. If hopefully you want to for a while, and you think it's worth it. Anyway, you can also go over to TeePublic and get stuff through there that's got faces and logos and such on merchandise. So go over there if you wish. Buy something if you wish. Also, go over to the support us page on our website. It's in the description. All the stuff that I've talked about, we'll talk about. It's all there, as well as our custom dice that you can go and buy for a whole set. So go look at it, go buy it if you wish. And am I going insane? Is that really the only other thing? Yeah, no, it is. I'm crazy. The only other thing, of course, is going into the description and utilizing our link for Humble Bundle that we are partnered with, that supports both us and Tabletop Alliance, who's also in the description, for you to find out about their charitable work that they do with Tabletop Means. I didn't realize they're remastering Dead Rising. That's interesting. I like that. Hopefully it's not fucked up for some reason. Anyway, other than that, I mean, you've got Black Library stuff for Warhammer stuff. You've got the Power Rangers thing there. There's I think the ttrpg stuff is still a couple of things in the books bundles. Excuse me. Goodness, I am fucking yep, the Star Trek thing is still there for a few more days. As of recording, it will be, what, 4 more days left when it goes up? 3 more days left? I'm not sure. Some Gygax stuff if you want, all that kind of stuff. Show no mercy on comment posting, but I suppose the one we posted and the next one pair together well enough. Fair enough. My comments will block out the sun. That's fine. But yeah, that's all the stuff to support us, and of course, subscribing and all of that. Liking the videos, commenting and everything. Please keep doing that. It's useful, it's helpful, and you can tell us things that way. I don't know, send us an email. I don't know. Our email's down there. Anyway, thank you again for hanging out. Thank you for listening and watching and all of that. Be excited for Vampire when that's coming. I gotta go to bed so I can get up and start editing tomorrow and figure out time frames and everything for everybody. So, excuse me. Goodbye. See you next week.